Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we got breaking news in the NBA right now. It's Flight Sports TV. We got to touch bases. We got a big time trade. The Charlotte Hornets have made a move. This is breaking. I can't believe I'm saying this right now. The Charlotte Hornets, the activity at the Utah Jazz. It's so crazy how these two teams here at Flight Sports that we covering now, they just made an exchange. The Charlotte Hornets and the Jazz. Hornets trade for Collin Sexton. We're gonna get all into it, ladies and gentlemen. This is some crazy shit. I just I gotta tell you I can't believe the Hornets did this. So, all of the people that might be saying, "Oh man, they got a guard." I like this guard right here. The Charlotte Hornets, they finally get another player, who could handle some things, take some pressure off of Lamelo Ball. It's winning time. This is the young bull. We gotta let's pay the utmost homage. And The Charlotte Hornets look like they're clearing the deck for obviously not part of it. The Utah Jazz is clearing the deck for Ace Bailey. They don't want no nothing. You're gonna have Isaiah Collier. Isaiah Collier is his boy, from Georgia, Atlanta. And it's so crazy. Ace Bailey was talking about all of the players on the team. He was like, "Oh, this and Collin Sexton was the last name that he mentioned." So that's something to talk about. This is some real shit, man. Good. Yusuf Nurkic is involved. We're gonna break this whole deal down. This is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. It's Flight Sports TV. We're gonna get all into it. The Utah Jazz are trading Collin Sexton and a 2031 second-round pick to the Charlotte Hornets for Yusuf Nurkic. I'm not too sure what the hell Yusuf Nurkic happens to be involved for Utah. Maybe they just need to unload Collin Sexton. Collin Sexton, like I said, he's going to be the lead guard. They just drafted a guard, so I understand where they're going with this with Utah. You just got a guard, and then you already got Isaiah Collier. You don't need all of this. Is a log jam. Now Charlotte. Now the only question I ask: who's on the move for Charlotte? Now that we got these guards, you just drafted a guard also in the second round. So there's a lot of things percolating right now with the Charlotte Hornets, ladies and gentlemen. We live. The Hornets, man. This is crazy. Shout out everybody in the chat. Give credit to the Hornets, man. They finally out here with a level of activity that we want to see. Now we got free agency coming up. Look what Charlotte is doing, y'all. Look what Charlotte is doing. They are assembling a team worthy enough to make it to the play-in. This is what we talking about. I like the young bull coming out to Charlotte. I like Collin Sexton. I'm telling you, this is going to be big. And he's going to be able to push LaMelo Ball to get to the postseason. And I like this. Collin Sexton is going to be up there challenging shit. He's going to be barking. He's going to be active. He's going to be vocal in there. So that's what the Hornets need. So shout out to Collin Sexton, that veteran that the Hornets desperately needed. We got breaking news in the NBA right now. The Charlotte Hornets have made a massive, trade, in my opinion, because that's what I believe the young bull, Collin Sexton, is going to be able to do for Charlotte. I'm very excited. Free agency, y'all. You don't know what Charlotte is going to do. I'm telling you, this time to put the cherry on top. Pause. Go get Miles Turner and call it a day. Figure out. Let's get some shit percolating, man. Let's do this thing. It's time for the Hornets to get to the postseason through hell or high water, y'all. It's Flight Sports. We live. It's breaking news in the NBA. The Charlotte Hornets have made a move. A trade is in, yes, and it happens to be the Charlotte Hornets. Finally, we are getting this. You are seeing the vision of Peterson, Plotkin, Snell, and all of these fools. We are seeing the vision that they have in store for us. Now they have to go out there and execute on the floor. You got the young pieces. Now you got Collin Sexton. I'm telling you now, this is bigger than what people believe. I'm telling you, Collin Sexton to the Charlotte Hornets can propel them to the postseason. Now you have to finish it off by getting a massive piece in free agency. You gotta finish the deal. You have to finish the deal. Yusef Nurkic, come on, he was baggage claim. You know what the hell was he doing in Charlotte anyway? So you basically flip Yusef Nurkic, who was going to be doing absolutely nothing, and got Collin Sexton. And I'm telling you now, it's not a bad move. You know, if you're the Charlotte Hornets, you didn't. It's not like you overpaid for anything. You know, so and you got a second round pick. So hell, I believe you fleeced them. You know, in my opinion. You know, so let's see what happens. Now we got to use the flip side of this coin here. Now we obviously know this is another guard coming in. They just got insurance on Lamelo Ball just in case something went down. I'm telling you now, I just got to speak from a basketball perspective now, ladies and gentlemen. The Charlotte Hornets have just got insurance just in case Lamelo Ball gets injured. That's what has just occurred with this move with Collin Sexton. You know, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. This is breaking news in the NBA right now. Collin Sexton has been traded, you know, opening up, you know, some, you know, free range up there for the Utah Jazz with their, you know, log jam at the guard position. Let's get into Collin Sexton, y'all. Last season, he averaged 18 points per game, shooting 48% from the field, 40% from three, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. So you're not getting a playmaker here. You're getting a guy who is going to put the ball in the hole. You know, so Charlotte, they could use somebody like that at the guard position. He's 6'3", you know, so he's going to be able to play alongside LaMelo Ball. You've seen LaMelo play with other guards before, you know, whether it was Terry Rozier, you know, the list goes on where other guards have came in where it probably looked like it didn't make the most sense, but LaMelo and company made the most of it. So that's what I'm expecting. Shout out to Hoop Conductor. He says, what's going on with Trey Mann? I don't know. You know, that's a good question. But Collin Sexton is bringing, you know, some good activity to Charlotte and nonetheless winning. You know, Collin Sexton, he knows a little something about winning. He's played in some big games. He's 26 years old, you know, so and he's from Georgia, so he's going to be close to home. So I'm expecting Collin Sexton to ball out. You know, this is going to be big. You know, the Utah Jazz, man, this is gonna be crazy what they're doing. They going young, you know, that's just point blank period what they're doing. It just doesn't make any sense in my humble opinion. They're gonna have to move Lauri Markkanen. I wish Charlotte we was talking about a trade for Lauri Markkanen today, you know, but we didn't get that. We got Collin Sexton. Bottom line is Utah is a fire sale right now. John Collins. Who else is out there? Clarkson. All of these guys are up for grabs right now, in my humble opinion. You know, it just point blank period. They just are. You know, this is a serious situation for Charlotte and what they've been doing. They are definitely taking a winning step. You know, this is big for Peterson. They just got to finish the job. Now the Hornets have to stay healthy. You know, that's key. All of this stuff that's going on, if they're not healthy, it doesn't make any sense. You know, I'm just calling it how I see it. You know, I want to get into I believe the guy that the Utah Jazz selected, he was from Florida. He ended up winning the NCAA tournament from Florida. So he's a guard. They say he a sharpshooting guard. So that's something to monitor. I forgot the kid's name. I'm trying to look up the kid's name who the Utah Jazz drafted. That other guard. I'm gonna get his name right now. That kid is nice. So that's why Collin Sexton got traded. I'm about to get that kid's name right now. But like I said, we got breaking news in the NBA. Collin Sexton has been traded. The Hornets will receive Sexton, a second-round pick. The Jazz will receive Yusef Nurkic. So the Hornets, the activity level for Charlotte is just continuing to up the ante and up the ante. They just made a move. And the kid's name is Walter Clayton Jr. You know, that's the guard that they drafted. He was drafted 18th. So that's a guy that has to play minutes. So look out for that kid. That kid is going to be nice. And Collin Sexton was going to obviously get in the way of all of that. Um, Even though, like I said, he is I believe like I said, he's a point guard, a combo guard. He's 6'3". So look, they just traded a 6'3" guard, and they just drafted a 6'3" guard. So that's the reason and why you see Utah making that move. Now, the role for Charlotte, Sexton comes off the bench, backs up Lamelo Ball, and he's able to move and propel that second unit. I think that's going to be key for Collin Sexton as he's been traded to um, the Charlotte Hornets. Charles Lee, he gets a young bull in the building, a guy who could push some of these young guys, and not just Lamelo. He's going to be able to push everybody. You got guys like TJ and Salon. They need somebody like the young bull, to come in here and get them activated. Let's go. Thunder says Sexton is a good pickup dude. Is high energy. He fights for every play. Yeah, Collin Sexton. He gonna dive on the floor. He gonna scrap. He gonna scratch people. He gonna do whatever it takes to win, and that's what you want to see. From everybody on the Charlotte Hornets. He's gonna be a big pickup when they bringing in guys. When LaMelo goes out the game, you're gonna have a functionable lineup, in there that's gonna be able to produce buckets now. So you ain't gonna have to, oh my God, LaMelo's on the bench, they're about to go down 20. That's not gonna happen anymore. You got all of these people who could come off the bench and help. Sexton, he's gonna have to pick up, in my opinion, maybe some playmaking. Because he's coming here. You got some weapons here. You got Miller. You got Bridges and company. So you gotta figure some things out. I also want to see. This is why I want Charlotte to go get Miles Turner, because Miles Turner is going to be a big move because you got a young center in there. I like Musa, but you got two young guys. You got Musa and you got the young kid Kyle Breeder in there. You got to get a veteran, to relieve pressure off of them. You just gonna throw that kid in there, this rookie that you just drafted, make him start right away. You probably can, but I would like to acquiesce him a little bit. Bring a veteran. Hopefully you could get Turner, but if you can't get him, get somebody else. But free agency, if I'm not mistaken, is tomorrow. So the NBA, man, it's about to get percolating, y'all. It's like we just getting started. We just getting started, in my opinion, with these trades. So NBA free agency, it starts Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's tomorrow at 3. Free agency officially starts, and I'm expecting Charlotte and that activity level to pick up. In my humble opinion, that's what I'm expecting from Charlotte. We're gonna get into some of the free agents that's out there who Charlotte could possibly pick up and add to what they've done so far. Trading, obviously, it started with the moving Mark Williams, and now they have moved Nurkic. Like I said, Nurkic was doing absolutely nothing anyway. So I mean, I really don't think this was a bad pickup, and you got a second round pick. So I think that was a good move. Um, it's some people out here. Nas Reed, if I'm not mistaken, I think he signed. Julius Randle just signed. Um, so you got Miles Turner. He's unrestricted. That's what I want them to get. You got Jonathan Kuminga. Would that be a big move for Charlotte? You got Cam Thomas in Brooklyn. I like Cam Thomas. Schroeder, Beasley, Malik Beasley for Detroit. There's a lot of BS going on with him. This kid Ty Jerome, I'm hearing a lot of ramifications with him. I hope Charlotte don't sign Ty Jerome. That would be a disaster. Do not sign Ty Jerome. That's a bum, in my humble opinion. I don't like Ty Jerome. And you just got Collin Sexton, so you really don't need him. Chris Paul, you heard what he said. He wants to be close to LA, so we can't put him in there. So I think the prize will be Miles Turner. Hopefully Charlotte, could figure something out. You know, let's see if Utah is going to go into the tax. If they was going to do it, when they have done it already. So everybody's signing. I'm going to be monitoring the situation on Turner. But somebody says, and we got the money to get Turner. So let's go. So Raekwon says, so we let Trey Mann walk. I don't know. I really don't know what you do right now, but I do like this move for Charlotte getting Collin Sexton. He's 26 years old. He fits with the timeline, to a degree. He's leaving Utah, who basically Charlotte, they're a young team too, but they're not as young as what's about to happen with the Utah Jazz. They going real young. It's different levels of young, that these players are going in. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. Charlotte is active, and that's all you want to see now. Now, let's see how active they could be in free agency. What if they sign Kuminga? If they can't get Turner and they got Kuminga, is that a good offseason? Y'all let me know. So we have to figure out. I like how they're building possibly this bench. Collin Sexton is going to be able to lead that bench. Obviously he's not going to start. He's going to be able to push Lamelo in practice, and also during the games. So there's a lot of things that's good, positive things that's going to come from this. Charlotte is back to possibly where we want them to be, which is the postseason. Now let's see if they could get there. Now it's going to be pressure on Charles Lee. The Hornets are making moves. You cannot have a disastrous year. You can't get off to a shitty start. You can't be completely out of the play-in or the postseason situation. You have to be hovering around somewhere in the play-in scenario if you Charles Lee, for him to keep his job. You got coaches getting fired for getting to the conference finals, damn near getting to the finals. And you got a guy here where I could see them making moves. They got a good young pieces to complement. The Hornets got a different type of, little lineups that they be having. Like, you think they're a young team, but they got some young vets there. Melo been around for a while. Miller, he's starting to come into his own. You got Bridges out there. The core is not as young as people, may think. It's winning time for this core. You see their counterparts. Look what everybody else is doing. I'm just telling you. Look at his draft class and Lamelo. Everybody's winning right now. This guy, Indiana and Halliburton, damn near won a championship, for crying out loud. So it's winning time for Charlotte. Lamelo has to get this team to the postseason, through hella high water, and Charlotte has to finish the job. Utah got shafted here. They sure did. That's why I said Charlotte is winning some moves now. They won that trade for Mark Williams, to get 2 first-round picks for Mark Williams, and he's always hurt. You see what happened when he went to LA to do the physical. They rescinded the shit, so and they end up walking away with 2 first-rounders, so I mean, you gotta and then look what they just flipped for Nurkic, who was doing nothing anyway. So it's big things percolating right now in Charlotte. It's winning time, point blank period. That's all I could tell you. Collin Sexton is a 47% shooter. Yes, Collin Sexton, he's a good player in this league, man. Collin Sexton has been traded to the Charlotte Hornets for Yusuf Nurkic, a 2nd-round pick. Charlotte, is getting a 2nd-round pick, all for Nurkic. I'm trying to figure out what's the love affair for Nurkic. Maybe he's coming there to encourage the young veterans. So I mean, this is a compliment. Sexton was born to play for the Hornets. That's what I'm saying. What people are saying on Twitter right now. The 2030 2nd-round pick of Utah sent it to Charlotte is the most favorable of the Jazz, Clippers, per source. So basically, that 2nd-round pick is between Utah and the Clippers, and whoever has the more favorable pick, Charlotte will get it. So Hornets' pursuit of a backup guard. So it was some noise around Charlotte getting a backup point guard, a reliable one. Obviously you just drafted the young guard in the second round, but he's a young kid. You got to get a guy like Collin Sexton, who's been around the league for a while. He's going to be able to help everybody. So Collin Sexton has been traded. It's breaking news in the NBA right now, ladies and gentlemen. The Hornets trade for the former NBA first round pick. And it's so crazy because he went right before the New York Knicks and they end up getting Kevin Knox. I'll never forget that draft. I'll never forget that Collin Sexton draft, when the New York Knicks couldn't get him. Sexton finished the 2024-25 season with a productive averages of 18.4 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, while shooting 48% from the field and 40% from three-point range in 63 games. So clearly he's going to be around for the long haul, 63 games. Sharanya, I'm going to show you what Sham says. Hornets acquire a competitive, tough-minded guard in Sexton for their backcourt, while Utah gets front court depth in Nurkic. They're saying that the Jazz wanted them too, who the Jazz liked. So they wanted Nurkic. They had to because I think they overpaid. So the Hornets they got a competitive dude. That's why I told you the young bull, man. He ain't coming here to lose. At the very least, Charlotte is going to the play-in, man. They coming. Collin Sexton is going to demand, competitiveness. You're not going to be able to come out there and lose the game in the first quarter and it's over. You're not going to be able to play well in the first half and then come out in a no-show in the third quarter with Collin Sexton on that bench or in the game. That's not going to happen anymore. So I like what Charlotte has done. They're making winning moves. This is a winning trade for the Charlotte Hornets, man. This is what it takes to win, man. You have to get a veteran in there, and they finally got their veteran, in Collin Sexton, a young vet, in my opinion, who's 26 years old, but this is the right kind of player for this team because he's not too old. He's a guy who's going to be able to talk to them, and hopefully, things should translate. So they don't have a lot of guys like this. I was looking at Brandon Miller when they was losing a couple of games, and he looked very upset and distraught. So I think Collin Sexton should help fix this. But y'all let me know how much pressure is on Charles Lee right now, because Charles Lee, is getting a better lineup, man. So we should be expecting better results, And what if the Hornets get off to a bad start? Would we be wrong if we want him fired? Because you got Tom Thibodeau out there, and I want Tom Thibodeau to coach this team. Call me crazy. I want Tom Thibodeau and Mike D'Antoni to coach LaMelo. That's what I want. I haven't got my wish yet. We end up getting these lame duck coaches, but hopefully Charlotte, as they're doing now with their draft and their players, where they getting guys who could produce right now. Hopefully they figure out that it's Charles Lee the guy, because if Charles Lee is not the guy, they got coaches out there that could produce right now, so it's no more BSing around, so if Charles Lee is the man for this job, it's time to take the mantle. If not, we got to get Thibodeau in there, because Thibodeau could get this team to the playoffs. He done did it time and time again. LaMelo deserved an opportunity to be competitive in the East, in the NBA, and take his game to the next level. There's no reason why LaMelo Ball has not made it to the postseason yet. This has been a disgrace on so many levels. On so many levels. I'm trying to figure out which degree or level we need to go to, because obviously it starts with Michael Jordan, Kupchak, and company. Now it's looking like this guy, LaMelo, is starting to get a team finally built around him properly, and I think that's what I think LaMelo, I haven't heard this from anybody, but I think that LaMelo Ball is going in there letting them know, like, hey, I never really got a team properly built around me. No pieces was never brought in to complement my game. They never really, Brandon Miller, that was in the draft. I mean, if the draft didn't go correctly in that order, they would have never got him. So I think that's LaMelo's case when he's discussing that to the front office. And if you look at this draft, all of these pieces seem to complement LaMelo. Even Collin Sexton is complimenting LaMelo Ball because he's going to come off the bench. He would have to have came off the bench at some point anyway in Utah, because he probably would have started, and then eventually you have Walter Clayton, and then you have Isaiah Collier. These guys have to play, so they would have eventually took the mantle in that starting lineup. So Utah, they got in front of everything and just moved him so they could get that. Shout out Mike Malone to the Hornets. Somebody says Mike Malone to the Hornets if Lee don't work out. Mike Malone is a good pickup too. I like Mike Malone. I like Tom Thibodeau, and I like Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni, we haven't heard his name around a lot, but hopefully let's see what happens. But I do want Charles Lee fired if he can't get the job done. If he can, if they get off to a winning start, I'm gonna be singing Charles Lee's praises. Pause. But I think the pressure is on Charles Lee a little bit now because you got some winning in this lineup. You can't be completely out of it. You have to at least be competing and be competitive now that you got some good pieces and then you got good shooting. You improved your 3-point shooting now. Your spacing is a lot better. Even for Collin Sexton. Collin Sexton, he could shoot the three, but we know he like to go downhill, get to the paint, get buckets in the paint. So the floor now, when you got Knipple and you got all of the McKinley and you got all of these other shooters that's out there, Miller, you're going to have Sexton being able to get downhill in the paint and make all kind of crazy plays. So, I mean, this is going to be massive. Shout out to Noble Knowledge. He says, Thunder, are you serious? So you see this lineup. Salute to all the others in the chat right now. So Tyler says, maybe this is where the rumor has gone. Portland's bigs coming to the Hornets. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Let's see what happens. What if they trade for somebody else? Because they got pieces. The Hornets got people on this roster that they can move. What if they get DeAndre Ayton? Would you like that? In my opinion, I don't know how much that would cost. But if they could get somebody like that for the cheap, I think they do need to get a veteran center in there, whether free agency or a trade. That way you could kind of, walk Calbrina along instead, unless you're just gonna throw him out there. We about to see what he look like in about a few days, about a week and some change. Stacy says there's some pit bulls on this team. Yes, somebody says no, Ayton is lazy. Who else is out there? They got Time Lord out there too. He might be moved too. So there's a lot going on, with Charlotte. Slim says hamster wheel. Thunder says Lamelo don't have to play every game, but his backups will hold the fort at least. Yes. So I'm just telling you from a basketball perspective that the Hornets have now got insurance on LaMelo Ball just in case something goes wrong. If LaMelo gets hurt and he's not able to be around or stick around for the Charlotte Hornets, you have Collin Sexton who could come in there and be the starting point guard for you. I'm just telling you, I'm just keeping it all the way 100. That's just what it is. Our Noble Knowledge says the Hornets fleece Utah real hard. The Hornets been fleecing everybody real hard. It just is what it's been. Thunder says LaMelo is super talented, but the public often tax him because team success. LaMelo gonna be cool, man. I think now you're finally gonna get the roster that he's gonna be able to bring to the promised land. In my opinion, I think now LaMelo could finally get a shot at a winning situation because none of these pieces really fit. Look at the upgrade that they have at the wings now. You also have this kid, Con Knipple. He's saying that he's not. He's more than just a shooter. So if he's more than just a shooter, look what the Hornets have got. They got themselves an incredible wing player, out there, so that's going to be special. It's going to be special for the Charlotte Hornets, to get a wing player like that. It's just. Yeah, so the Charlotte Hornets, man, it's just gonna be a special situation. If they could put all of this shit together, that's gonna be key for Charlotte, putting it all together. The Hornets often they mess everything up. It seemed like every year we saying, "Oh man, this is the year. This is the year where the Charlotte Hornets is able to take it to the next level. They're going to be able to win and go to the playoffs." But this year looks a little bit differently now. But Charles Lee has to put all of the pieces together. And if Charles Lee can't put all of the pieces together, it's time to move him out because Peterson is doing his job. He's active. You hearing his name. And what if he completes the job by getting Miles Turner? Free agency begins tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Do not touch that dial. We will have news, updates, and more for you as free agency, rolls around. It will be free agency fever. It's not no massive names, but Charlotte have a little bit of paper, and I'm hearing their names percolating for some big time free agents. So that's what we want to see. Tyler says Lamelo getting the team built around him maybe in 3 years. We're gonna have to see. Shout out to Show Shots. He says greetings from Salt Lake City. Shout out to everybody, from Utah, rocking with the Utah Jazz. It's time to get some Utah Jazz paraphernalia in the building because it's a lot of things percolating. I was just saying, you see how God worked. How you got Utah. They done made a trade with the Charlotte Hornets. That's just crazy. How all the stars just align in that favor. But I do want to repeat. I wish I was making a video talking to you about them getting my man Laurie Markkinen. I wish we talked about the Hornets just traded for Laurie Markkinen. And now I'm like, oh, now it's on. But I do like this trade for Charlotte. I like the trade for Utah. Utah, from the reports, they like Yusef Nurkic. Kenny says Laurie ain't nothing. You already know that these guys are on the move for the Utah Jazz. As we look at Laurie Markkinen is the truth, man. He's one of the better players in the NBA. In my opinion, he's a superstar. Given in the right situation, I ain't gonna say a superstar. I made a mistake there. He's an all-star, and he could be a high-level player in this league. He's 19. He averages 19 points per game. He shoots 42% from the field, 34% from three. So it's a lot of teams who could use a player like that, on their roster. So it all depends on what they want. He's 6'11", so he would have fit in perfectly with Charlotte. Possibly putting him at the 4, maybe small ball 5. Especially as you see how these teams are playing, But I think what could fix everything is go get Turner, because Turner could make all of this shit work. He could kind of bring some of whatever they were doing in Indiana and bring it over here to Charlotte, because they got all of the pieces. But I think Charlotte just missing just one more thing, and I think that thing is Miles Turner. Laurie just need a point guard. Yeah, I don't think Laurie gonna stick around, because they got Ace Bailey, he's gonna need the ball. Laurie Markkinen, as long as he's there, he's gonna have to have the ball. So they got to open up the deck, and that's what it's looking like they've done. Like I said, they traded. Pardon me. They end up getting Walter Clayton Jr. in the draft. Utah. They got Isaiah Collier. They have guards, so they've opened up the rotation for those two. They're going to get even more playing time. They don't have to worry about the young bull, because as long as you got Collin Sexton there, especially with them two guys, you got to put Collin Sexton in there. But Isaiah Collier and Ace Bailey, they're really cool. They believe it or not. So Keontae George, he's another good player as well. Shout out to Stacy Van Diver. Keontae George, this team, listen, I'm not going to say they're going to be a no playoff team, but they got an exciting young roster, and let's see what they could do. They have to go young. A lot of teams, they got to commit to the rebuild. It's looking like Utah, that's what they're going to do. They're not looking like they have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. They're going to roll with these young players and build with them. And it might take 2 to 3 years for them to get where they need to go. Isaiah Collier, the future. Yeah, he is the future for them, at the guard position. I think he's going to be able to play alongside Walter Clayton, and they'll be able to interchange. Walter Clayton, this guy, he's a sharpshooter now. He could shoot the ball. He could shoot the ball way better than Isaiah Collier. Isaiah Collier is a good player. He's he's not bad at all, to say the least. We're gonna get an Isaiah Collier, who was a rookie last year. He played at Sierra Canyon with Bronny James. He was the 30th pick in the draft. And what did he average? He averaged 8 points per game, shooting 42% from the field, 24% from three. So that's definitely when I look at the 3-point percentage, that's pretty alarming. If you ask me. So that's why I like their move for Walter Clayton. Now, if you get into Keontae George, he's 6'4". He averages 16 points per game, shooting 39% from the field, 34%, from three. So I see where Walter Clayton comes in now. At that three ball, they need to increase the shot making ability. And Walter Clayton and Ace Bailey should fix, some of this mess that has, happened here. Let's get into Walker Kessler. He's another guy from Atlanta. He played at Auburn. We're gonna get into this kid. Pause. He averaged 11 points per game, shooting 66% from the field. And we all know he's 7 foot. So Walker Kessler, he's 23. He's going to be in that, kind of realm with Ace Bailey, as they build and grow together. These are all young pieces. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens with the Utah Jazz now that they've upped their activity. Salute to Show Shots. Utah, they got a lot to work on, being one of the bottom dwellers of the NBA. If you LaMelo Ball, you have to be pleased with your situation, because all of this talk about you possibly going to, the LA Clippers and things of that nature, it was a lot of talk. Even LeVar Ball said this, you see firsthand, LaMelo is sitting there in the practice facility watching everybody work out and putting his input on in the organization. So they got to figure it out. These are two bottom dwellers, in my opinion, even though the Hornets, they got a way more upside due to the players they have on their roster. They just have to figure it out. Utah, they was 17-65. They was the worst record, in the NBA, if I'm not mistaken. They literally had the worst record in the league. Let me double check that for you right quick. Yeah, Utah had the worst record in basketball. Worse than Charlotte, worse than the Wizards. So this is what Utah is trying to scratch, fight and claw, out of this hole. But only time will tell. Vita says Walker Kessler going to be gone. I'm sure they're not going to play him. He'll be dealt this week. That's why they did this trade. Danny Ainge up to something. Stacy says Isaiah Collier, Jaylen Brown comes from my school. Isaiah Collier, man, he the truth. Let's see what happens. The Hornets ain't done, but Danny Ainge, he up to something. I mean, he up to these young guys. He gonna invest in the young talent. Y'all probably about to go get some more draft picks. Because when you trade Lauri Markkanen, you're gonna get something for him. You should at least get a pick or two for Lauri. You got John Collins out there, so I think they're about to open up this roster. The Utah Jazz, man, they're about to make some moves. More moves on the way. This roster is far from done, from all of the people that could possibly be up out of here. Will Hardy, man, he about to implement his system. And as they're moving, I just don't see Jordan Clarkson, Collins. They need to be on another roster competing for a title. They don't fit where Utah is headed. I mean, we just gotta call it how we see it now. Jordan Clarkson, 16 points per game, shooting 40% from the field, 36% from three. I really don't like like I said, this 3-point percentage. For the Utah Jazz, I mean, it really was bad. In my humble opinion, I mean, it really was. I really don't like. The situation. And we're gonna get into this kid, Kessler. Walter Clayton Jr. I want to get into his stats here. What he put up in college. This kid was a good player in college. We want to get into his stats. Like I said, he won a national title, in Florida. So that's special. So he's going to be able to bring winning to Utah, even though he's a young player. And if you're the Utah Jazz, that means you can't ask for nothing better than that. As a winning player, to come into your organization. Um, we're gonna get into to this kid Walter Clayton Jr., who's 6'2". He averaged 18 points from the field. He shot 44% from the field and 38% from three. So he's definitely an upgrade at the three ball. For all of these other teams, man. All the other people that's on the squad. Show Shot says that I'm gonna miss Sexton. He played tough. Yeah, Collin Sexton, man. Finally, the Charlotte Hornets get some good pieces, man. Um, it says, "What up, Flight? This trade shocked me. Hornets been making moves, man. They gotta make another move in free agency. The moves ain't done yet. Stacey Van Dyke says Walter Clayton started his career in Lona. Um, yeah, well, I tell you what, he's gonna be a good player. For the Utah Jazz. He's another player who didn't work out for them. A lot of people was so caught up with Ace Bailey not working out for them. But look what happened here. Shout out to the Charlotte Hornets, man. The Hornets out here making big time moves, man. Trying to get competitive. Give credit to Peterson and company, man. You can't ask for nothing more. It's clear that Peterson's next move. Let's see what's going on. It's something that just came out. I want to read a report that I'm seeing right now. Um, of all of the people, that's what I said. A veteran center. I said that. Somebody saying that one of the things that the Hornets need to fill is getting a veteran center. What if the Hornets fool around and trade for? What if they pull a rabbit out the hat and go get Mitchell Robinson from New York? If they get Mitchell Robinson, I'm like, oh man, it's over. But that's a long shot. They have to make a trade for him. That's I don't see that taking place. But if you look at some of these other people, they got to go get a veteran center. I'm looking at some needs here for Charlotte. Should they trade Miles Bridges? That's a question that a lot of people are talking about online. Um, he's making over 20 plus million. Um, so we got to figure out, because he do got Musa Diabate. Could he play the four? But I don't think you should move Bridges just yet. I think him and Lamelo, they got unfinished business. But Bridges got to play like how he did at the tail end of the season. It looked like at the tail end he started playing a lot better. He's got to ball out, from opening tap. He's got to be that force, in the paint. It's time for him to be that for Charlotte. They need that. Stacey Van Dyke says we need a center and another rim runner, someone who can score in transition. Um, Donald Duck, we ain't getting Robinson from New York. I wish, but that's too good to be true. But yeah, we need to trade Miles. I know Melo's boy, but Musa at the four will cook, and that's all I'm saying. That's what I've been hearing. That Bridges could possibly, he might be on the move. We got time. I mean, free agency coming around. Now that's a long shot getting Giannis. We dreaming now. I don't think they got the pieces. I don't know if they got the picks and everything to go get Giannis. Who they gonna trade? I think it's more likely to go get Zion. Because what's going on with Zion in New Orleans? You got a new regime. And they just drafted two dudes. And who knows how Zion fits with those guys. I hope they could get a package going for Zion. I think that's going to be the end all be all for them. What if they fool around and get Turner and trade for Zion? I think that's going to be a big thing because they got the pieces to trade for him. And I tell you what, if Zion become available, I bet you Charlotte is on his short list, and they could trade. Obviously TJ and Salon. They could trade some of these other picks if you got to give up one of these new kids you just got except you want to hold on to Khan at least, but you got the assets now in order to do something. That's what Charlotte has done as well. They got assets, they got players, that they can maneuver. Young players. You still got KJ on this roster. You still got Nick Smith. You got players that was gonna have to get up out of here. You just got Collin Sexton. All of these guards are not going to be able to play. You got to think about it. All of these people that's on this roster. You got Lamelo, KJ Simpson, Collin Sexton. The list goes on. You just drafted the other kid. You got Nick Smith Jr. You got a Kogi. I mean, there's a lot going on. At some of these positions. And we all know when it all fizzles out, it's Lamelo and Miller and then everybody else. So it's probably going to be the better of that crop, So it's going to be key. But Lamelo and Sexton will play the most. Of course, they're going to be able to play alongside of each other too, because that's just the player Lamelo is. Lamelo's going to, Sexton is going to be kind of like what we got from, what we was getting from, damn, I forgot. Terry Rozier. He's gonna be basically a Terry in the Terry Rozier role, for the Charlotte Hornets. But Nick Smith definitely looked like it's over with. Sexton can play the two. Sexton can do a lot of different positions. Like I said, pause. Like I said, it's gonna be key. Trey Mann. I want to see what they do with Trey Mann too. Because free agency time, so Sexton's the back of what will happen to Trey Mann. They probably just got insurance on Trey Mann. Trey Mann might have been demanding all types of money. Trey Mann was just hurt all season. How much money he looking to get? So we got to figure out, the Hornets got now, they got insurance. Go ahead and go take the bag, so hopefully they figure something out. Because if I'm not mistaken, Trey Mann is a free agent, right? Y'all let me know if I'm not mistaken. Trey Mann might get a sign and trade for a center. That would be key if they could do that. If they could trade Trey Mann and go get a center, like I told you, they have to get a veteran in there. Trade Trey Mann, to New York or something. New York might take that because, they looking for people to score off the bench. They might be able to get Mitchell Robinson or one of these people. Bam Adebayo. What's going on in Miami? It's looking like they're ready to fall apart. So the Hornets, they got to be in position to unload these young players, these draft picks, for whatever they need. The Hornets are in position. I want them to get Zion Williamson, though. That's what I want. I want the Hornets to get a package together and trade for Zion. Because it's time for the Hornets. It's time for them to trade Zion Williamson. I don't know what's the holdup over there with the trade for Zion. That's messed up that they're holding on to Zion like this when clearly he doesn't want to be there. Clearly they just hold them hostage. Somebody says we got to keep Trey off the bench. That's 20 a night. Well, let's see if they can keep him. That's 20 a night if he's there. How healthy is Trey Mann? They saying he's healthy now, but we don't know, for sure how long Trey Mann is going to be around, throughout the course of the season. So that's something that I'm looking into. Kenny says Bam is big time. If the Hornets can get him do that, the Hornets will be legit playing team, playoff team. I think that's true. The Hornets could definitely be a playing team. That's the end all be all for Charlotte to get to the play-in. They have to get there, get back to where they were under James Borrego. I'm trying to figure out after he left, everything just fell apart, so the Hornets have to get back to where they were, those 2 seasons when LaMelo first got into the league. What happened? Where did the Charlotte Hornets go after those 2 seasons? So that's something that I'm looking into if I'm the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets, man. The key now is can they actually win? That's what I want to know. How long is it going to take for Charlotte to actually get to the play-in, to get to a winning situation? That's what I want to know. Because it's been a long time coming since Charlotte has been back to the play-in or the playoffs. How long ago was that? Think about it. When Charlotte was in the playoffs, Charlotte right now is the longest tenured team, who hasn't been, in the playoffs, in the postseason. So Neo says, not even crazy woman in Charlotte for Zion takes more than the BBL. Got to be a bad shit for Zion. We're gonna have to see what's up with Zion Williamson, but I want him in Charlotte, man. It's time for Charlotte to get some winning pieces. I like Collin Sexton coming to Charlotte. That's a good move. Noble Knowledge says playing 8 seed um, at the very least should be an easy goal, very easy goal. God is good, says Jesus saves, God bless. Salute to everybody that's in the chat. You already know what it is. Couldn't stand Borrego rotations, but he was a solid X's and O coach. Man, they didn't give James Borrego enough credit. They have not recovered ever since they fired James Borrego. We just got to call it how we see it. They have never recovered since James Borrego has left. Tell me why. I want to know. But I'm very excited for the Charlotte Hornets, making this move. Like I said, Utah, they got Walter Clayton Jr., they have Isaiah Collier, they got two young guards. So the deck has been opened. Utah, they was the worst team in basketball last year. I know that you probably didn't even know that because Utah is up in the mountains. Sometimes you forget they're even there, but they was 17-65. But I tell you what, this season you won't forget that they're there because they got They have a lot of exciting young talent. That Danny Ainge, Austin Ainge, Will Hardy, all of these guys are assembling out there, man. And you're gonna have to take note of what's going on up there. So shout out to them. Um, Mo says I like Sexton, but he's little. He's gonna be good for them, man. Collin Sexton, he play big. Pause. He's small, but he come on. Sexton, he might jump on somebody back. Or grab somebody. You know how Sexton do. Dive on the floor for loose balls. He's gonna be able to bring that level of intensity that Charlotte has been missing, man. It's been a long time, since Charlotte has had an intense basketball player, like this. So I'm happy, that the Hornets are finally, getting back to where they need to get to, and which is winning. Sexton the dog, he'll be good. He will be. Ace Bailey, definitely superstar potential. Shout out to my man Basil Carpenter Jr. in the building. Salute to everybody in the chat right now. It's Flight Sports. You already know what it is. I think the Hornets should have traded for Lonzo. Man, they should have. They got Lonzo for the cheap. They look like they could have got Lonzo for maybe a Kogi or something. So I mean that's wild. So that's something that definitely to look into. I don't know what the hell is going on. This shit don't make no sense. This is just crazy. It says Nick Smith Jr. Yeah, Nick Smith Jr. He chopped liver. No more of the days Melo's driving to the lane, and trying to kick it out to Nick Smith Jr. and we praying that he hits the three. See, Nick Smith Jr. He's in the same ballpark with the McGowans and all of these dudes. This is the people that we have to get up out of there and bring in better shooting. That's going on with today's NBA. And that's what's happened with Charlotte. They have not progressed. Like other teams in the NBA. Now you're seeing them doing that in some form or fashion. But Lonzo, man, that would have been a good move. Slim says that that's a 1-year rental. You are right about that. It's not like he signed in Cleveland forever. So the deck is open for Lonzo to be up out of there by the end of this season. It's a team option, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see. It's up to Cleveland what they want to do. They might keep him. Lonzo gonna do so well, they're gonna have to keep him, and it's for the cheap. Lonzo gonna be. I ain't gonna say a 1-year rental on the team option. I think Cleveland gonna hold on to him for 2 years. They traded a Coro for him. You could expect Lonzo in Cleveland for at least 2, and then possibly going to with Lamelo. So a 2-year rental. What I'm saying. If they didn't trade Okoro, then I would say yeah. But I think Okoro, he was a draft pick for him. So they brought in Lonzo for something. He's being brought in to do something now. That was another massive move that took place. Lamelo is better than Shea. Lamelo does everything better than Shea, but Melo doesn't have consistent mid range like Shea. But like I said, Lamelo is better than Shea in my opinion. It's just Lamelo has not been healthy, and he hasn't had the team put around him like Shea. Look at what Oklahoma City has done. Look at the organization, the infrastructure, and everything that's behind him. Look at Sam Presti. We talking about prestige level of where they do business. It's a whole nother situation. And Kupchak and Michael Jordan. You know, um, you got to think these guys just got here. Peterson and these they just walked in the building yesterday. So they just now putting their fingerprints on the situation. But these coaches, they on borrowed time. So the only person I look at who time could be running a little thin, is my man. Obviously Charles Lee. But Charles Lee, you don't know. He might have the backing with ownership. He might have the backing. Well, he obviously got the backing with Peterson. That's his guy. That Peterson and Lee, they got a connection. Now let's see how strong that connection is if Charles Lee don't figure shit out. When the season kick off. So that's something I'm monitoring. Donald Duck says if we can get Mitchell Robinson, what other centers would you target for Charlotte or who fits with Melo? Man, if they could get Mitchell Robinson, I think it's over. We sealed the deal. We can get ready for training camp now. If they get Mitchell Robinson, now we talking. But I mean, I just don't know if that's a long shot. I think that's the home run. If they get Mitchell Robinson, or even if they could get a Miles Turner, you got to think. Or some of these players already signed already. Julius just signed. You got Nikhil out there still. Charlotte got to get somebody. They got to get Nikhil. They got to go get Turner. They got to go get somebody. They have to. But the Hornets they land Collin Sexton from the Jazz for Yusef Nurkic. This was a trade that has set the NBA world in a frenzy. The Charlotte Hornets are active, as ever this time of year, ladies and gentlemen. It don't get no better than this right now. The Utah Jazz, I repeat, are trading Collin Sexton and a 2030 second round pick to the Charlotte Hornets for Yusef Nurkic. This is being reported all over the place. The Jazz are clearing the room for that backcourt after selecting guard Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton Jr. Sexton, 26, spent 3 seasons in Utah, averaged 18 points per game, 4 assists. He led the Jazz in total points in each of the past 2 seasons and recorded career highs in 3-point percentage at 41% and free throw percentage at 87%. So look at what Charlotte is getting. Charlotte is getting a guy who also finishes at the line. He had career averages. Mind you, they said he averaged the most points. So he averaged more points than Laurie. So like I said, let's double check something right quick here. He averaged more points last year than Laurie Marketing. No, he didn't. No, that's what I'm saying. So Laurie Marketing put up 19, so he didn't average more than Laurie. So that's why I had to fact check that for a second. Something didn't sound right. Sometimes you gotta fact check these reports that we read out here sometimes. You know, but nonetheless, man, this guy Collin Sexton is the truth. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to Flight Sports for more news updates and more. We got a lot of news going to be breaking. You know, Sexton, I repeat, could be the replacement for Trey Mann, who is a restricted free agent. So we're gonna find out. The Charlotte Hornets, they're gonna be able to match whatever offer comes, Trey Mann's way. But Trey Mann is a restricted free agent. How do you feel? How do people feel with him being restricted instead of unrestricted? So we're gonna have to see. Knowledge says if Melo got the same free throws, he would average 35. We got to stop this BS, man. You can love a player and be realistic. Yeah, absolutely. You know, but Shea is MVP Eastern Conference. I mean, he did. I mean, he's the man. Um, he's the man right now. We got to call it how we see it. But all I said was Lamelo don't have a team, built around him. He never had with these guys like Shea had. He never did. You know, he don't have a Sam Presti. He had Kupchak. So it's something to think about. You know, it's levels to this thing now. Lamelo didn't get the same level of service like these other players got. You know, he just didn't. We just got to call it how we see it, y'all. Lamelo, you're gonna see it firsthand when he get his opportunity. He will electrify when he get to the postseason. He's gonna. They know what time it is. Look at all of these guys. You look at Halliburton. You look at my man Edwards. Can we all remember that Lamelo actually won Rookie of the Year over both of them? So we have to, let's stop. Let's not get amnesia now. Let's look at everything in totality. Lamelo don't have, what these other guys have. Ujiri is out there, yeah, but they can't. They just brought in Peterson. They can't bring him aside. I tell you what, they bring him aside. They're gonna try to trade. He gonna try to trade Lamelo. I mean, because that's what Masai do. Masai might feel like, man, I don't know about this. Let's move on. So we need to bring him aside into our front office. Maybe they might bring him in as a, or what do they call that? As a consultant, and then eventually he takes over the job. You know how that shit works. But Peterson just got there, man. I don't think I think he's safe. We're looking at Charles really. Peterson, I don't think they're gonna uproot him just yet. From all accounts, he had a hell of a draft. He had an amazing offseason. He just traded for Collin Sexton. So I mean, Peterson has done his job. He's doing it. Ant lost Cat and still went back to the Western Conference Finals, bruh. I mean, Ant is the truth. Ant is the truth. Ant is the truth and a half. We shall see, man. Y'all let me know what this brings, man. And is Trey Mann back on this roster now? I don't think so. Because if Trey Mann won all this money, they got a lot of guards, man. Maybe I think they're gonna let Trey Mann walk now. The Hornets they acquired Nurkic. At the trade deadline last year from the Suns, where he spent the past 2 years. He joins a center rotation in Utah that includes Walker Kessler and Kyle. Um, so I mean, there's a couple of little exciting pieces out there in Utah, man. So we're gonna see if they're gonna be able to hold down the fort. Shout out Rap God. Um, says Kenny, you man Ant got sent finish fishing. He's not like that. I like what's going on with I really like what's happening with Charlotte right now, man. It's been a long time coming for the Charlotte Hornets. For them to actually, do something out there. Collin Sexton coming over to Charlotte. This is big. This is big for the Charlotte Hornets, man. Give credit to Jeff Peterson and company, man, for finally doing something right now and finally making moves and making a big time trade for their organization. This is what it's going to take to win. This is what it's going to take to be successful in today's NBA. You have to be active. And for Charlotte, who's been one of the teams that's been out of the postseason for so long, you got to be desperate. You got to be the most active. Your name got to be up in everything. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Don't think none of these teams owe Charlotte a favor. They have facilitated about 2 trades for superstars. If I'm not mistaken, it was I'm going off the top right now, but I know we had the Clay move, and there was another trade that was involving another superstar. So it was a lot of facilitation. I don't think it was for Luca. I forgot what it was. Y'all help me out in the chat. But Nas Reed, I think he re-signed. I got to check his status. I think he just signed, for 100 something million with Minnesota. So I'm just saying, I hope that Charlotte could somehow get somebody. What if they can get a Bradley Beal? What if they can get something like that? I know they're not getting Booker. They're gonna want it all for Booker, but um, we're gonna see. Hornets should trade for Oneki. I mean, that wouldn't be bad. A Congo. That'd be crazy. To get him with Lamelo. The Hornets should do that. Let's see what Peterson could do. I don't know. I think he with Atlanta, ain't he? I think Atlanta might want to hold on to him. Give credit to the Charlotte Hornets, man. It says Lamelo ain't never faced NBA playoff level defenses. Is different than the regular season, little bro. Now Lamelo will cook those playoff defenses. You got to give him that opportunity. He got to have the team and the infrastructure to go into NBA level defenses. I remember it was a quote that Kobe Bryant had after they traded for Pau Gasol. He was like, "He not going into the war with butter knives no more." He was talking about he really he got real stuff now. To go into these playoff battles and stuff like that. So Lamelo got to have that. To go into that. So I know you just looking at Lamelo individually, but he got to have weapons everywhere to bring his game to life. That's why people look at the Clippers as a viable destination. The people possibly looking at Harden there, people looking at what's going on with Kawhi. All of that would be perfect for LaMelo Ball if they was able to get all of that facilitated. The Charlotte Hornets, man, this is a big time day for Hornets Nation. You know, it's a big time day for the Charlotte Hornets to ensure their belief in this front office. That they're gonna try to do something, that they're gonna at least try to be competitive. Whether it's successful or not, they are getting after things. They are getting active in the trade market, and that's really all you can ask for the Charlotte Hornets. So salute to all y'all that's in the chat right now. Um, Knowledge says playoffs a different monster. The game plan and the strategies are way different. Next level stuff. Ant doing what he did ain't easy. If it was, nah, it's not. I ain't BSing you with that. Ant is the truth. Ant is the truth, especially in the East. I mean, the West. Kenny says the East is wide open. It is. It is wide open. That's why Charlotte got to do something. That's why I'm telling you that Charles Lee should not be the coach if he can't get them back to the plan. Trey Mann may not be back. That's what that means for Trey Mann. Y'all let me know in the chat, what does this mean for Trey Mann? Will he be back with the Charlotte Hornets? My answer is absolutely not. I don't believe Trey Mann will return with the Charlotte Hornets, due to a lot of different reasons. It is what it is. Collin Sexton has been traded. This is big time news. Rap God, Trey Mann is gone. Now we can start talking about the destinations for Trey Mann. Charlotte ain't looking to pay all that money. Trey Mann missed down there the whole year. He better be looking to cut a deal. If he looking to cut a deal, yeah. But if he trying to get the bag, I mean, he gonna have some serious problems on his hands trying to get the bag. So I mean, this is big time for the Charlotte Hornets, man. They made a trade. Collin Sexton, is a member of the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets needed a reliable backup. In my opinion, they finally got it. They got a guy who I don't believe is going to step on the toes of Lamelo, even though he's a young player. He's going to come in and assist Lamelo Ball. And get Charlotte to the postseason. That's what I believe he's going to do for the Utah. I mean, pardon me, for the Charlotte Hornets departing from the Utah Jazz. We all know, he started his career in Cleveland. So I mean, this is big. It's a big move for the Charlotte Hornets to bring a winner in to the franchise. A guy, in my opinion, who could help elevate. A young team that's trying to, get competitive, trying to, and that's what the Hornets need. They just need to just see what it feels like to get to the playoffs once. And then I think now they're going to be in better shape, but we haven't got that opportunity with Charlotte. It always seems like it's been some kind of hold up there, with the Charlotte Hornets getting to the postseason. But only time will tell. You know, Collin Sexton, traded to the Charlotte Hornets. Man, this was a massive move for Charlotte. Doing this, they continue to shock everyone. You know, by making this trade. The NBA, man, is in full swing. Free agency is kicking off. Um, this is what it's all about. The NBA is exciting as ever. People talk about the off season. The off season sometimes more exciting than the regular season. So all of these things are definitely something to think about. Um, Colin Sexton has been traded, you know, um, to the Charlotte Hornets for Yusef Nurkic, a second round pick. Um, QJ Smith says Sexton will go at Melo in practice too. He sure will. He's not going to settle for nothing less other than winning. And get into the playoffs. That's what I believe, in my humble opinion. The Charlotte Hornets, man. Shout out QJ, said iron sharpens iron. We're gonna see it firsthand. How iron is gonna sharpen iron. With the Charlotte Hornets, man. This was a big trade. That's all I'm gonna let you know. I can't repeat it enough. Somebody says T Jam was a bad pick. I think that's obvious that T Jam was a bad pick. Charlotte, they never gonna publicly come out and admit it, but with the draft that they just had, I think it's key that that was a complete waste, of a pick. I ain't gonna say a complete waste of a pick, but he just didn't pan out in his first year. It's pressure on them. That's why you've seen videos of Charles Lee and company. They got him working in the gym. They got him working on his post play and things of that nature because they want him to pan out. Because if he doesn't pan out, man, this is gonna be a complete disaster. For the Charlotte Hornets. They took a swing last year on a home run. That's why you don't always and you shouldn't draft on upside. That's what they did. Sometimes it pans out. I remember when the Knicks drafted Porzingis, they talked about he had the most upside in the draft. It's a Gobert on the trade block. Hey, if the Hornets could get Gobert, that'll be massive too. I hope the Charlotte Hornets could get Rudy Gobert. That would not be a bad move. Rudy Gobert, if he came to anchor the defense, they need something like that. So that way you could bring Calbrina along. I don't want Calbrina just thrown into the fire like that. I think you can give that kid some time. That's all I'm saying, in my opinion. But this was a big day for the Charlotte Hornets. They continue to stay in the name. Everybody knows that they possibly won the trade. Somebody says, "What about Josh Green?" We're gonna find out about these guys. I want to see what they do in free agency. So the Hornets are not done. We're gonna hear their name ring off a little bit more, in my opinion. I think free agency, is gonna be key for Charlotte this year. Nas Reed and Randall both got 100 million. That's what I said they did. But you didn't see, you see who didn't get paid. The only person that didn't get paid was you ain't see nothing on Miles Turner. They ain't paid Miles Turner yet. So I believe Miles Turner is for the taking. Charlotte just gotta figure out a way they can get their money right. If they get their money right, man, they can walk away with Miles Turner, man. They in business. Look out for the Charlotte Hornets in free agency. Free agency is in less than 24 hours. The Hornets are not done. In my opinion, they have to go get a center. That's one of the key needs after getting a backup guard. It's more clear, than these guys getting a backup guard. Listen, man, I got the legendary All Access in the building, Dex. Man, you see what the hell is going on. We got breaking news in the NBA. The Charlotte Hornets have made a move. What the hell is your thoughts? It's Flight Sports.
Well, actually, you're gonna have to fill me in just a little bit more because my information is real shallow on this because this is so new, and I just need a little
Yes, sir.
clarification of what Lamelo say.
Mm. You said about what well, with this move right here, you got Collin Sexton coming over to Charlotte for Yusef Nurkic. No, pardon me. They're getting Sexton and a second round pick. That's what Charlotte has received on just for Yusef Nurkic. So I think they fleeced Utah, in my opinion. They got Sexton and a pick. What
And,
go ahead.
not only that, Colin Sexton is going to be a very good asset for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yes,
Now,
maybe in a
where do
trade.
where do Trey Mann and Nick Smith Jr. stand on this? They might be moved as well because Colin Sexton does the things that Jeff Peterson wanted Trey Mann and Nick Smith Jr. to do.
Yes.
So I'm
That's
curious if the Charlotte Hornets is still moving. And let me listen. Let me tell you something about this Jeff Peterson cat. This is a really shiny move on top of the hill in the Queen City. A lot of criticism have went Jeff Peterson way based on the fact he was making minutial deals that could not move the needle for the Charlotte Hornets. But I think this one, Flight, this one right here, I'm satisfied. I think this is a very good move for the Charlotte Hornets to secure a talent like Collin Sexton coming out of Alabama.
So, what do you feel for Lamelo Ball possibly, getting a good quality backup like this? What does this do for Lamelo and the Hornets?
Well, I don't know if he's going to be the backup, like.
Oh
Listen to me.
wow, or
I
play
don't
with
know if
them?
he's going to be the backup. LaMelo been crying to slide to the two. Now, it has been rumored he will only slide for Lonzo. But Lonzo has already been stitched in the Cleveland Cavalier uniform. So he's not coming. So now Colin Sexton looks like he's going to be the replacement of the non-catch of Lonzo Ball becoming a Charlotte Hornet. And I think LaMelo will move over for Colin Sexton because Colin Sexton is a seasoned guard and he can put the ball in the bucket. So I don't think LaMelo will have too much problems with him. If that is the case, so I just don't believe Colin Sexton might be coming off the bench. I think he might have him a starting job at Charlotte. Because why would he come to Charlotte if he don't start? He might as well stay where he at. Because Utah is going to be a good team this year.
So, you feel like Utah gonna be good?
Yeah, I think they'll be play-in worthy. Yes.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. What I want to talk to you about, Charlotte. Is there any pressure on Mr. Charles Lee?
Most definitely is pressure on Charles Lee. Anytime that you have LaMelo in camp, it's pressure. This is why when he made that blunder of sitting LaMelo during a winnable game, when LaMelo was still eligible to play, he caught a lot of flack from the brass of the Charlotte Hornets, and they had an immediate meeting. Remember, I reported this, but people don't give me credit. You know that, Flight. They overlook a lot of stuff that I break when I find out. They had an immediate meeting before they got on the plane to straighten that out. And LaMelo had to be the one to really break it. That somebody always calling me when I'm on the live. LaMelo had to be the one to break it that they had that meeting because most people didn't believe me because I reported it so soon. And Charles Lee was like, "I'll never do that again." That's water under the bridge. LaMelo's real cool type dude. He was hot. He was hot. But once they had the meeting, he was cool. You know what I'm saying? He didn't agree. I'm letting y'all know now. He didn't agree. He didn't agree, but he got closure. He didn't agree that Trey Mann had the hot hand and all that fabric, that bull. He didn't agree with that, but they did come to a common denominator that's water under the bridge. Let's move forward and let's get Charlotte Hornets on a winning path. Unfortunately, that didn't happen last season due to a plethora of injuries. Now they got a decent weaponry in Colin Sexton. I like this flight. Listen what I'm telling you. I like this. And this gives Jeff Peterson a notch on his belt. And I like the move because I was being very, very skeptical of old Jeffy P based on the fact that he skipped over Ace Bailey. I just couldn't come to grips with that. But with this guy here, Collin Sexton, because you can't have too many people that need the ball. And he's a seasoned vet. He's been around the league, so he knows how to place himself and to fall in line and stay in his lane, because there was really no problem with him in Utah as anything spilled out into the media as a hothead or a disruptive player. So I think he'd be really, really good with Lamelo. And listen, Flight, isn't it ironic that they skipped over Ace Bailey? He went to Utah, and then all of a sudden they get a deal with Utah. I find that very, very intriguing.
I was hoping that it was for Laurie Markkinen. You know, that's what I was hoping. I wanted Laurie Markkinen to be the pick, but I mean, for nonetheless, I mean, it wasn't that. It's crazy. Kenny says I wanted Minnesota to get Sexton. I mean, but nonetheless, man, Collin Sexton is a member of the Charlotte Hornets. I disagree. I would put Sexton on the bench. Look at the playoff teams; they have a good bench. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of keys, to success for Charlotte this upcoming year. I think that they're going to be a good team. Peterson has put together a good squad, and you're going to see it firsthand. Free agency is nothing but 24 hours away. I believe that they're going to make another move. Who knows? We may be coming back on here for talking about Miles Turner. So we're going to find out. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, that's all I can tell you, man. This year, I feel like we say this every year with Charlotte. It's going to be the year. It's going to be this. I think it's going to be the year this year. I really do. I think this year is going to be the truth. Dex has, been critical. I mean, I guess he wanted Peterson and them to draft Ace Bailey, but if the reports is coming out that he didn't want to play with Lamelo Ball, I think that he was backed into a corner. But it is what it is. They got Collin Sexton on the bench. You got Grant Williams. You got some good pieces here. Charlotte got a good little depth that they
Excuse
pushing
me,
out
Flight.
there. What you say?
I said that
What?
it was Ace Bailey didn't want to play with Lamelo. I said that. Remember? And then somebody was saying that no, it was a guard.
I think I do remember something like that.
So Ace, where did you get this information from that Ace Bailey said that he didn't want to play with Lamelo?
Well, I didn't. Well, basically, I got it from just a report that they said it was a player who said that they didn't want to play with Lamelo Ball. But I mean, I just took it that it was Ace Bailey because it was reports that he didn't want to play with Philadelphia. It was reports, so it was all of these things, and then there was another one. If this person drafts me, I'm not going to report. So I automatically, I'm putting Ace Bailey in there because I think he told all three of them teams these situations, and you know. I guess Utah was the only team that said, "Fuck it, I'm drafting you." Charlotte could have did the same thing, and he would be in camp, with the Hornets, but they didn't do that. He would have
Yeah,
got
because
he would have got over it. He would have got over it, and he would have been a member of the Hornets.
exactly. I mean, Jeff Peterson, I think he just got a yellow streak down his back when it came time to make that decision. And Danny Ainge, he was like, hell nah. You know what I'm saying? I'm drafting this kid. You feel me? Because like I said before in the previous stream, that Danny Ainge was a villain throughout his NBA career based on the fact that he was one of the ones who draft dodged the NBA and went over to baseball because he didn't want to play on a certain team. And then when the Boston Celtics bought his rights, he hurried up and left the Toronto minor leagues and came over to the NBA to participate as a Boston Celtics because they had Parrish, they had Larry Legend, they had Dennis Johnson, and they had McHale. So with that kind of firepower, Danny Ainge was so happy to be in a city like Boston to display his good basketball skills, which he was a multi all-star and things of that nature. So Danny Ainge got, I think, 3 rings as a player and 1 as an executive. So he's a winner and he's can spot winners. And we all know that he built that Boston team. He should have 2 rings, but he gave it up to Brad Stevenson. And but Danny Ainge built that team, and now I think he's going to go to Utah and build a winner.
Yeah, that's what it looks like through hella high water. Does this get Charlotte to the play-in?
No, Collin Sexton doesn't move the needle like that. But what it does, move them closer to a potential play-in appearance. Now, because we know Collin Sexton have injury history, we know Lamelo Ball have injury history. So if that's going to be the starting backcourt, it's a lot of suspicion and skepticism with that backcourt until they prove otherwise.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is crazy, man. That's all I'm gonna tell you, man. The Charlotte Hornets, they're doing big things. I think they're gonna do something. I don't know what it's gonna be, but they're gonna be. Is an improvement? Hopefully, Charles Lee could do something. If not, I want him out, and I want them to bring in a competent coach that could take them to the next level. But only time will tell. But I do like the young bull coming over. The Charlotte Hornets have gotten better. That's obvious. That's obvious. You know, what's your thoughts on free agency? What if Charlotte finishes the job by getting a Jonathan Kuminga or possibly a Miles Turner? I mean,
I think
if
Jonathan
they get,
Kuminga is going to stay with the Golden State Warriors.
mm,
I think he's going to sign his extension. They gave him a offer, right? But I don't think that was the real offer. So they still in the negotiation. I don't think Golden State is letting Jonathan Kuminga go. If they do, that would be a very bad decision for Dunleavy. You hear me out, Flight?
oh yeah, I can hear you. Oh my bad. I was just saying my shit was on mute. I said that only time I'm gonna tell. With these guys. My humble opinion. Shit.
So so listen, I like I said, Flight, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Even though they didn't get Ace Bailey, and I turned my draws up in a bunch. And yes, I wear True Religion draws, sometimes Calvin Klein. But I had them pulled all the way up the crack of my ass when they didn't draft Ace Bailey. But we're gonna see what Con Knipple is all about, right? Because they're gonna be attached to each other probably for the remainder of their career due to the controversy of Ace Bailey dropping down to number 5 when Ace Bailey is really a top 2 talent. And if it wasn't for the sensational year of of what's the boy name? Number 1 pick overall, damn how I forget, Cooper Flag. Yeah, if it wasn't for the sensational collegiate career of Cooper Flag in Duke, Ace Bailey would have been the number 1 pick, hands down. So how all of a sudden that he falls down to 5, and he was looked upon as the number 1 guy on that Rutgers team, even though Dalen Harper played on it as well. You know what I'm saying? Dylan Harper was looked upon as being the number 3 overall pick consensusly, and Harper was number 2. So for him to fall to number 5, and Charlotte had an opportunity to get a top 2 pick, uh, whether he wanted to be an alpha male or whatever, you need that. You need that on your team. Maybe that bring more out of Lamelo. Maybe that bring more out of Miles. Maybe that bring more out of Grant Williams when he comes back. Maybe that bring more out of Diabate. So there, sometimes when you get these guys with strong personalities, it can bring out some of the other guys that have been subdued because nobody is challenging them. And so I think that it was kind of soft for Jeff Peterson to pass over, but that's water under the bridge. And they got Cooper Flag, running mate, and now they just picked up Collin Sexton. So Charlotte is looking to make some move because, as somebody said in the chat, I think it was Slim Canhoot or Kenny, that The East is wide open. So why not take a stab at it, right? Because we don't know when this opportunity will rear its ugly head again, where you have so many top tier teams down coming into the season based on the fact that their top guys won't be playing in the 25-26 season flight.
Yeah, man. This like I said, I'm very excited for the Charlotte Hornets, man. So, like I said, Collin Sexton, he hasn't moved the needle. A lot of people might think this might be something for towards Lamelo possibly, but this really signals Trey Mann. Can you agree that Trey Mann is gone? Because he might be demanding money. He was injured last year or just about the whole damn season. You don't have to bring him back now that Sexton is here, right?
Exactly. They got, Trey Mann is probably the higher asset, but you got to look at he's coming off of injury, and when you come off injury, the negotiation is not going to give you the most leverage, and so Nick Smith Jr. has been healthy, but he hasn't been putting up numbers like Trey Mann. But you probably can sell Nick Smith Jr. on potentiality.
Yeah, instead of overpaying for this guy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Can you agree that the Hornets are building a team around Lamelo Ball?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely, they building around LaMelo Ball. I mean, they made that a conscious decision because too many teams, whether it's reported or not, because they kind of iffy when it comes to the Ball family, trying to give them too much publicity, right? Because they try to save that publicity for the other players that are toeing the line. Yeah, so a lot of teams was acquiring for LaMelo Ball. And so since the Charlotte Hornets see that playoff teams and championship teams like Boston Celtics and stuff like that was inquired about LaMelo Ball, his availability, and how much the Charlotte Hornets really feel and trust in him moving forward. And so I guess Jeff Peterson, got off his high horse and came down to humble himself to really see that LaMelo Ball is a serious, hard asset and a grand target for multiple NBA teams that are already playoff ready. They didn't get calls from teams that was in the dungeon. They got calls from teams that were, mid-level playoff success and higher.
Yeah, good key there, man. Good points. Man, I love what's going on with Charlotte, man. This just the beginning, to be honest with you. It's just the beginning. I think that we're going to remember this time period. That there's a lot of winning ways, that was established here with Charlotte. Um, that's all I can really let you know, man. I'm very excited. Dex,
Slim said no. Flight Slim don't think they're building around LaMelo. How can
no,
you say that right now, Slim, with everything that's gone on since the draft? You should have a change of heart because that's what I did. Because I felt at first they wasn't building behind LaMelo because they didn't trust LaMelo because his availability was questionable and his approach to basketball was somewhat questionable. Because Melo was playing off of sheer talent and love of the game, right? He wasn't playing off of concentration and focus. LaMelo, like, give me the ball. I'm better than these cats. You feel me? I'm good enough to play. I'm better than these cats. But now I think since Lonzo is healthy, listen, I don't care what LaMelo stands think of Lonzo Ball. Fuck him and feed him fish. But Lonzo motivates LaMelo more than anything on earth. When LaMelo see Lonzo is back in stride, LaMelo turns his gear up a notch based on that because that is the core of LaMelo motivation is trying to outduel Lonzo Ball, his older brother. Not LiAngelo. Lonzo is always have been his target. And now Lonzo is playing on the Cleveland Cavaliers. LaMelo is fuming. LaMelo is fuming. He can't wait to rip up the NBA flight because Lonzo is playing on a playoff ready-made team that looks like they could be in the Eastern Conference Finals. So LaMelo Ball is looking like, hey, man, you can't let my brother just pass me like that. Man, y'all got to do something, man. I'm telling you. This will have LaMelo barking at the organization, knowing that Lonzo is with the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. Now, if Lonzo would have went to the the Utah Jazz or the Washington Wizards, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that would have really pumped up Lamelo. But right now, as we speak, Lamelo is so pumped that Lonzo is with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he wants the Charlotte Hornets to build something, at least play in May. You know what I mean? At least play in May so they can have a chance to get into the playoff scenario picture. I'm telling you right now, LaMelo is so pumped that Lonzo is at the Cleveland Cavaliers and LaMelo wants shit done now.
We got what's this guy? Natik,
Natik
05.
Williams. Yeah, Natik Williams or Natik
Hey,
'05. How y'all doing?
what's up? How you doing?
How you
All
doing?
right.
I've been trying to figure out who you was. And I've been mispronouncing your name. Natik.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Natik. Do your thing.
Real quick, I just want to shout out you guys. Thank you so much for your YouTube service. It's great to see some good platforms out there doing your thing. Also, I just want to say, in the minds of like a GM or something like that, I would still seek to get maybe Zion if he's comes available, or even you want to hold out for Giannis, but because of course the Milwaukee, they want those picks for sure. And you got another set of young guys that you just picked up from the draft to the team. Maybe they can go to reroute it to Milwaukee. But I'm still looking at Zion, maybe to add him to the team as someone who could elevate the team and get them playoff ready and more competitive. What do y'all think?
I like Zion and Charlotte. That's I've been echoing those statements for a while. Hopefully they can get it done. Hopefully I think they got the assets. They got a couple of picks. They
That's
Charlotte.
dead. That's
Yeah,
dead. Zion is dead. Zion to Charlotte is dead. I need to see Stacy. Stacy, if you in this space right now, Stacy, you need to come up to the forefront and explain what the hell happened on draft day that Zion didn't get traded to the Charlotte Hornets. We need Stacy. There's the APB out on Stacy. The last I seen him, he was on a milk cart, MIA, missing in action. Stacy, please get up here and explain what the hell happened with your Zion to Charlotte scenario.
I
yeah.
think it's the general manager that was in the way. He wants to get a year with Zion before he decides like, oh, I'm gonna let him go, or I'm gonna just go ahead and keep him until for direction until maybe the Zion decides to leave or in free agency, or you know what, they're gonna let him go in a trade or something. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I hope so. Hope something like that happens. How do you feel about the Sexton move?
I think it's a great move. I think it's a step in the right direction. You see what you have in another point guard, and hopefully the team elevates a little bit more further to their goals to getting at least in the playoffs.
I agree with that. That's the key for Charlotte. At the end of the day, it's all about can they make it to the postseason. That's what I want. That's what we all want at the end of the day. But I definitely appreciate all y'all for coming through to the live today. We've been cooking up in here for about an hour and a half. If Dex want to hold it down for the people for a few minutes, man.
Yeah, I'll hold it down for them because they
I
active. They
appreciate you,
active.
Dex. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Give me about 10 minutes, Dex. I'll be back.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Natik.
Yeah,
Yes, I want you to address this question right here from Kenny. He asks, "Can Brandon Miller get on Pascal Siakam level?"
I believe he can with experience. He needs the experience like any other young player. Because Siakam got it with Toronto that 1 year with Kawhi Leonard, but I think it is possible for him too. He's got to make a move. They need other players in key positions to maybe to bump up their talent to get them to the playoffs and compete at a high level. So I think he can be that next guy, like Siakam.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question because the Hornets do need that kind of energy on the court with them, that Pascal Siakam energy. He doesn't say much. He don't even argue with the refs. I mean, he just go along with the flow of the game. And next thing you know, he got 27 and 8.
Yeah, that'd be something right there. Uh, Yeah, Cavs. I see the comment Cavs versus Hornets. That's going to be a very spicy game this year. To see what happens.
Now, that might be a TV game for sure. And
Hmm.
uh, and it might be a TV game maybe on the weekend. You know what I mean? I don't think it's gonna be like a Tuesday night TV game. Hopefully not. I hope it'd be like one of them either Friday or Saturday games, or maybe an ABC game on Sunday. You never know. They might make it a Christmas game.
Hmm. However it turns out, I hope they have a great season. This season is different. They need a winning season. If the coach can't get it done, I don't know what to say. To me, I think they really do need to go after a big star and snatch Giannis maybe from everybody else because they do have a lot of picks. They just picked up and a lot of young guys too. So they got to figure something out.
Yeah, I'm liking this Collin Sexton move because, like I said, he is a mini veteran, and he has been around. So when you have guys like that are semi journeymen, a lot of times they get into a place like Charlotte, and they feel emboldened because there really is no strong leadership there. So they feel a
Hmm.
little comfortable, and they feel a little more motivated to showcase their skills because this could be an audition for him to get an extension.
For
And
sure.
so Colin Sexton is you remember back in the day, he was looked upon as one of the top guards at one point.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
this one is with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And so people was barking about this guy coming out of Alabama, and thought his trajectory will be more ascending than descending. And we all know that he got derailed through multiple injuries. But a healthy Colin Sexton is really a very good player because he was like the understudy of Darion Fox. That's what they thought his potentiality was going to be. Something
Hmm.
similar to Darion Fox.
Well, for sure. I think they could have used him this past playoffs, but he wasn't there, so they moved on from him a long time ago. So I hope he's able to do it here in Charlotte. That's for sure.
I think so. I think he found a home in Charlotte. I like the move from Jeff Peterson. I was very skeptical on Jeff guidance and navigation through these shark infested NBA waters.
Hmm.
He passed up on Ace Bailey. I couldn't believe it, but that's water under the bridge. We're going to see what Khan going to do. Can he erase the bad taste in a lot of the Charlotte Hornets fan base mouth by not drafting Ace Bailey? And now that they got Colin Sexton, the Ace Bailey, uh, well, how can I say what happened there? The Ace Bailey miss. I'm gonna say miss. I ain't gonna judge nobody. The Ace Bailey miss might be a thing of the past if Colin Sexton can stay healthy and be the Colin Sexton he was in his what is it, second year in Cleveland.
Hold on for a second. I gotta step away for like 2 minutes. Let me get
Okay,
back
do
right
your
back to
thing.
you.
So do your thing. So this is the only curiosity I have when it comes to Colin Sexton. Could he be the Colin Sexton in his sophomore year? Because they was comparing him to a Darion Fox, and that was a lofty comparison for Colin Sexton coming out of Alabama because he was fast, he was nimble, and he was able to put the ball in the bucket, and that was very impressive.
Hmm. What do
So
you
that
think?
was it. Go ahead.
What do you think about them possibly trading for DeAndre Ayton to the team?
Now DeAndre Ayton, he played with Kevin
Booker?
Durant. Didn't he play with Kevin Durant?
No, he
Oh, he
was
didn't play with
there, but
Kevin Durant.
no, he never played. He got traded away.
Okay, he was part of that trade with Kevin. Okay, but DeAndre Ayton played with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. They went to the NBA Finals to play against the Milwaukee Bucks, and
Hmm.
he had a very good playoff run. I mean, we got to be honest. DeAndre Ayton had a very good playoff run, and he was doing pretty decent against Giannis. So he already feels that he high above than most of that was on the Charlotte Hornets. And I think DeAndre Ayton could possibly be a distraction because even with the Portland Trailblazers, he still haven't played up to potential. He was a number one pick overall. And he still
Mm-hmm.
haven't played, up to potential because he feels that the coaching staff is underplaying him or underutilizing him in his skill set, where he really doesn't have a bag. You know, he's good at low post, but this is not the old NBA. This is a new version of NBA. And low post, they seem to be eradicated or even obliterated in today's game. So this is why Andre Ayton, even though he got a little midi game, but it's not strong enough. And this is
I
why
just
Andre. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm saying this is why DeAndre Ayton is not sought after as he should be as a 7-footer with multi dimensions to his game because he's not playing the defense that most teams want him to play. And the reason why he's not playing defense because he's holding back because he is upset of the under usage that these offense that he's been in has given him.
Well, I don't know what it is. I mean, to me, I think it could be self motivation, but also it could be a combination of getting the right coach to motivate him. Because I think you get him back in the playoffs, and if he's really into it, you can see a competitive Aiton, DeAndre, and he's right there. You know, in the Hornets could be right there in the mix of teams in the East that can compete for a championship, at least to get there.
Yeah, I think Michik is gone. I don't think Michik is a part of the team anymore, right?
I don't know.
Wasn't he a part of this trade?
Michi? I'm not sure.
I think he's gone though. But nevertheless, I don't believe they're gonna keep Michik anyway. Even if he wasn't a part of this trade, I just think he's a dead man walking. And the only reason why he resurfaced is because of the trade of Mark Williams. I don't think they have no need and no desire to keep Michik on their roster.
Hopefully, out of these new guys that they just drafted, somebody shakes out as a good center for the team or strong power forward, you know, switchable 4 or 5 guy. But just they got to get on the board soon because Melo is like, look, my brother's got to a competitive team. I would love to be around in part of a competitive team, trying to get to the playoffs and beyond and get that championship too. So especially for the city of Charlotte, so they got to do something.
Now, give me a little history of yourself. Are you from Charlotte, or are you just a Charlotte Hornets fan?
I'm actually born and raised Dallas, Texas. So I'm all Dallas. But I've been watching the Charlotte Hornets since Lamelo's been drafted there. And I've been watching the whole Ball family. So
Okay. And so, do you think with the moves that's happening in this year's draft that the Charlotte Hornets finally decide to build around LaMelo, or you think they just trying to build something?
I think in part they're still trying to build something because they drafted 4 guys. So you don't know what they're going to bring to the team just yet until you see them out there and against other top competitors in the league. So I think whoever shakes out the quickest, they're the part of the team, and then everybody else, you might be a trading chip for a bigger fish to bring to the team.
Yep. Yep. I just hope Jeff to stay aggressive and don't start cherry picking. See, this is what Charlotte would do. You know, they'll do a little something and then they start cherry picking, so they won't be good.
Mm-hmm.
And the fans get excited because that's a basketball hub in America, North Carolina. That's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a basketball hub. And so the fans get excited, and through their excitement, sometimes they overlook some of the fallacies on the drafts and pickups Charlotte Hornets made, and they think that's going to be good enough to survive the gauntlet of the NBA. And then all of a sudden they find themselves in a pitiful situation that
Mm-hmm.
renders them one of the bottom feeders. So I hope Charlotte Hornets fans really get up on themselves and don't allow Jeff Peterson to cherry pick like the other regime did and just start picking guys that's not going to make a difference, but it seemed like they making moves.
Um, I hope they make moves soon. But again, this past playoff run, a lot of the main teams left behind were the teams with depth. So don't lose too much depth, and also just try to build the best team you can around Lamelo and Brandon Miller.
Now, what you think about the presence of Miles Bridges now?
That's why I would package him in the trade to get either another big, like maybe Aiden, but if not him, maybe Zion, not him. I mean, maybe you hold out for Giannis if he decides to say I want to get out of here. The Milwaukee should shoot for the best package they can get of young guys and future draft picks. Because of Charlotte, they've been accumulating a lot of picks. So I mean, if anybody could give him a decent package, it could be Charlotte. But I think he might be packaged out eventually. But I think I wanted him to stay this year, see how it works out with the new guys as well. But if he's not a big difference maker, he might be moved to the bench at the least. He'll be at the bench off the bench.
I know Charlotte has a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of the two teams that have a ton of money. So it shouldn't be really a problem on the money side.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to the player if they really want to come.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you got the Miami Heat, Duncan Robinson. He's declining his $20 million a year early termination option to become a free agent, and will work with the franchise on a new deal to return or move somewhere else, according to sources of the ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got Duncan Robinson making himself available.
Well, Miami, in a way, is a city that's a destination for a lot of players. But for Charlotte, to me, they've got to be a little bit more. They've got to be more aggressive. They have to go draft. That's what I believe. They drafted or traded for other stars. They just have to. They have to just build a roster where it's good enough to say, "Hey, I don't want to leave Charlotte in the dust and to complain or whatever. I have a good team around me. We can try to go win this thing." So, however it works out.
Yeah, let me deviate for a minute on this subject. We have, according to Shams, breaking news: Detroit Piston Malik Beasley is subject of a federal gambling probe. Malik Beasley, subject of a federal gambling probe of the Detroit Pistons. Okay, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, to me, Charlotte, because of location and it's not necessarily a destination for players, they've aggressively have to go get somebody through trade, or they have to go through draft and find ways to put a decent team together where people or players shouldn't be wanting to complain or whatever to leave Charlotte. So however they do it, just make it to where the team is good enough to go win. The East is wide open, so to me, a Giannis move would shock everybody, and then who knows from there? Because if Giannis is there, you're going for a championship. You want to try to make certain moves. You're gonna do something. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. I was going to let you really finish up because you was on to something.
Yeah, that was basically it. They got to do something to make it seem like one, they want Lamelo to be as an all-star, to miss out like he did this past year. That was very kind of like gut wrenching. Like I'm a part of a team that I'm leading and I'm doing all these things to put us on stat wise himself, but then team wise we're not winning. So you have to find ways to start winning. Get players to help you win. That is the mindset. Defensively, they need to get better too. So they gotta find ways to make it work.
So the thing of it is, there's still rumors out there that the Hornets is flirting with Chris Paul. How do you feel about that?
I think that room is going to be shut down very soon. He wants to go back home mostly. If they say Dallas is not an option, then I think he'll just go back home to somewhere in California. Maybe the Lakers will give him a call. I don't know.
Chris Paul's not from California. Chris Paul's from North Carolina, right?
North Carolina? I don't
He's not.
know.
I know.
But
Well, he
far as I
played
know,
at
his
Wake
family
Forest.
is in California. His family,
Huh?
he's trying to get back to California. His family is
Oh,
California.
okay. 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 Because I think he grew up in North Carolina. So you think that's a dead deal, huh? He ain't
I
coming to
think it's a
Charlotte.
dead stick. Unless it just pops up, he went to Charlotte. That would shock me, but I think that's a done deal, not happening. How about any other point guard free agents? You think somebody might try to join a team? Let's say a Tyus Jones and some other guys.
Enjoy what team?
As far as joining the Hornets, is there a point guard they could possibly sign to maybe help the team out just to make sure the point guard position is solid?
Okay. How many point guards do you want for Charlotte?
If they already got two, I would say a good third as backup as just an emergency point guard. That's it.
So
Three
you
is the
don't like.
most.
So you don't like. What is Trey Man? Is he a two?
Two. I don't know. Because the NBA for me is like it feels like everybody's point guard, shooting guard to me. It's like they could be in any position. So, but for me, I would say maybe one more, and then that's it. That's just a solid point guard position. But if he's a shooting guard too as well, so that's 2 for 1 basically. You can do both those positions.
Yeah, because I don't really see Charlotte, stacking up on point guards. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I don't think that's going to do them any good unless they feel they can't trust Lamelo to remain healthy, and then that's a bad sign showing to Lamelo because now you don't trust me, but you're trying to build around me. You tell me you're building around me, but you don't trust me. That's not a good sign to show you're a franchise player. I just think the Charlotte Hornets need more maintenance men. If they can get some maintenance men, you know what I mean, and can scrap night in and night out, they could be somewhat like the Detroit Pistons.
Mm. That's possible too. I don't know who they'll be able to pick up at this point. So just work it out with your guys you just drafted and see what you got, and then if you need another big move or one or two other smaller moves and throughout the season, we'll see then.
Yeah, because the Charlotte Hornets they still have over 13 million under the first apron, and they're like I think it's only like 3 teams with that situation, and they're
Mhm.
one of those teams. And most of the NBA, they damn near in the penalty box. So a lot of these free agents, you know what I mean, either they're gonna take the Hornets money or they're just gonna sit around and take veteran minimums from teams that's damn near already in the penalty box. So Charlotte is in a good position and have good leverage to negotiate with these agents for their clients because they're below the first apron. And these players are looking for their bag.
Well, if they're not looking for, like I say, a point guard, wild pickup for me. I'm still rooting for it in a way. Is to go pick up what's his name, Leangelo. Let's go pick him up and see what he got. You're the new ownership. You and new in charge. Let's see what he really got on for this with this team and go from there. That's just a wild random pickup for me, just to see what it actually has for a year, and then who knows after that. That's it.
Well, somebody just put in the chat to educate us that Micic is currently their third point guard. So they already have 3 point guards. So I don't think they look for any more in that because that'd be a log jam on the traffic. So they got to go get their maintenance man. Shout out to Fresh Prince of Belize. Please hit that link, Fresh Prince. We want to hear your thoughts on this new member that has been acquired by the Charlotte Hornets, Collin Sexton. How you feel about him? Because I'm quite sure you're very familiar with Collin Sexton because he was kind of in the conversation with Lonzo Ball, Darion Fox, and what's the boy from Philly? I'm out of Washington, the #1 pick overall. You guys remember his name? Mark is something, right? So Fresh Prince, come on, hit the link and come up here and share that. Share your thoughts on it. Because I think it's pretty good. What was that Neek, what was that guard that was the number 1 pick in Lonzo Ball draft? What was his name again?
It was Anthony Edwards, right? Or
No, Anthony Edwards in Lamelo draft. I'm talking about Lonzo Ball draft. He got drafted by Philly. Markelle Fultz.
Markelle Fultz, yeah.
Markelle Fultz, yeah. So Collin Sexton, he was in that conversation. Markelle Fultz, Collin Sexton, De'Aaron Fox, Lonzo Ball. Because Collin Sexton came in a year after Lonzo. So they were still young, and Collin Sexton came in with some flair, and they kind of threw him or lumped him in that bunch with Lonzo, Markelle, and De'Aaron Fox. I mean, yeah, De'Aaron Fox. So they thought high of Collin Sexton before his injuries. We got Uncle Elroy. Uncle Elroy, what's going on, Unc? You're live in Flight Sports TV.
Flights, I'm gonna head out. I got
Hey, how you
some
doing,
things to
nephew?
do.
How you doing, young lady? It's
How
a
you
blessing to
doing?
be on here. How
You guys, I'm
how
gonna
you
sign
guys
out
doing
right
today?
quick. I'm gonna see you guys later. Okay, I love you guys. Keep up good work. Okay.
You have a blessed day, young lady. Yeah, man. Yeah, my name is Uncle Elroy. How you doing, man?
Yeah, go ahead, Uncle Elroy. Go ahead and espouse, elaborate, do your thing.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you, Uncle Leroy. We can hear you. I guess he's having technical difficulties. But Fresh Prince disagree. He feels that this makes no sense. But I would love to hear him espouse on that and see what angle he's coming from, because maybe he's seeing something I don't see. So Fresh Prince, if you have the time, come up here, man. We need to hear why you feel that made no sense. So Uncle Leroy's having technical difficulties. Let's see if we can get him back on. Okay, Uncle Leroy, you back.
Okay, I don't know the technical difficulties, man. But
Yeah, you sound real good.
Okay, man. I've been in Charlotte for years, man. You know, since Muggsy Bogues and Grandmama, you know, and then was there. You remember when we had it at the other Coliseum, and yeah, man. What we doing right now? I think they trying to take notes from what OKC, you know, got going on. You know, like with the 7'1" dude, they. I feel like they trying to get him like on some shit home green type of stuff, and then that the person from Duke, the defender, they trying to get him on what's his name, Thor, I think that's his name, on OKC, and now we got the shooter from Duke, which a lot of people say he's a very great shooter. I've heard some comparisons to Larry Bird, but I got to see that for myself. But I do like the route that what Charlotte is doing. Now, all we need is everybody to stay healthy. Lamelo to stay healthy. Brandon Miller to stay healthy. Miles Bridges. We're gonna need a true center. We need a big man since we let go of Mark Williams. And to be honest, Mark didn't really want to be here.
Yeah, especially after that first trade debacle. I don't blame him. But how do you feel about Collin Sexton? Do you feel that that's a good move? Oh, he dropped out. He having more technical difficulty. Flight, are you there? Yeah, you're going in and out, Uncle Elroy.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep going out. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I feel real good about the Collin Sexton move. To be honest, you could put him beside Lamelo if you wanted to. Yeah, I know about that boy from his Alabama days.
Yeah, shout out to Chuck Morris. So we got the Fresh Prince. He disagreed. He doesn't think the Collin Sexton trade makes any sense. And I'm kind of flabbergasted. So I'm interested in hearing what Fresh Prince of Belize have to say about it. So you can
Yeah.
elaborate whenever you're ready, Fresh Prince.
All right. So for me personally, first of all, shout out to Flight Sports, shout out to the channel. You know how we rocking. We does this on the regular. We always gonna give us our feedback. But all right, so for me, I want to start with the Lonzo trade. The Lonzo trade to me, I want to say right there that signified the backup help. Like so with Garland being down right now, I think that's a great pickup. And I feel like they showing that he want to win now, and he put him in a situation to win now. So for Colin for Colin Sexton, I feel like personally they giving up too much bigs. We just gave up Mark Williams. We now just gave up Nusert. So we don't got no bigs. Like when we getting all of these guards, and we just drafted another guard. So it's just like we got all of these guards but no bigs, and I don't see why is all of that needed right now. I feel like we solid on the guard side, and giving up Nusret for Sexton to me is not really needed to me personally. I just feel like they setting up for like saying just in case Lamelo goes down, we got backup, and that to me is like you said earlier is showing a bad sign.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something else though, nephew, with the centerpiece part. We also got Diabate as well, and he was playing. He was playing definitely good. And he know how to hustle. So maybe they want to try to trade him and get him to be a better player than what he is. They might be taking that route too as well.
Yeah, I feel like because again, the guard they picked up from Duke, I feel like again it's kind of similar game like Lamelo. So I mean, I could see how they could play off of each other or whatever, but personally, I don't see why we need all of these guards. But yeah, that's my take on that. Dex.
Yeah, no, I want to say
Belize.
Colin
I don't know if all
reminds
these guards are
him.
going to be there.
Huh?
I don't know if all these guards are going to be there.
No, yeah, I get that point, but
No,
like, all right, like I would have rather not to sound biased. Like Sexton's a solid guard, but I would rather him. I would have rather like to get out of Utah. I would have rather to get Clarkson with Lamelo. I think that would have been a better go for it if you was to go get somebody like Sexton's not moving a needle. He's a solid backup. Like that's some he should be on a team like Boston or like the Knicks or somebody where they got a good point guard already and he's the backup point guard for them. Like he's not a point guard for this type of team in my opinion.
Interesting. So you don't think whatever Colin Sexton brings, it won't open up Lamelo and make it a little easier for him?
If you're saying all right, now that's a different conversation because now if you asking me like, are you asking to put Lamelo back in his original position, which would be the shooting guard? Then yeah, then shit, then load up on the point guard and let Lamelo play point. I mean, let Lamelo play shooting guard. I think that's the his rightful position anyway. So if you asking that in that conversation, sure.
I think Lamelo will move over for 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 portions of the game for Colin Sexton to do his thing at point guard.
And that if that's the angle, then I guess that makes a little more sense. But then I would still argue that we need bigs. We giving up bigs, and we drafting guards. We need bigs. Like pause. I feel like we could have drafted the dude that went to that went the same big from Duke that went to Phoenix. I feel like that was even a big one, a nice pickup. Or the dude Queens, the one who went over to Memphis. I feel like he would have been good too.
Okay, but they would. So you think the Charlotte Hornets should have got a rookie center instead of a proven center? Because I think they're
Well, I
going
mean,
after a proven center.
well, it's because remember they gave up Mark at the draft, right? And then
Yep.
after that, they just traded out another big. So it's like if that was the case, you should have went and got a solid young big to build around.
I don't
Like,
think they want a solid young big. See, that's the thing.
but they don't got no
I think they
big.
want a. I think they want a seasoned vet that's gonna muscle that paint like a
But
Mitchell
that's
Robinson or
not
something.
available unless you're talking like you got what you gonna try to get Clint Capella or something. But Clint Capella probably not going. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like he's moving the needle for that right now neither.
Well,
They,
Slim Canoop said they got a 7-1 rookie, but like I said, he's a rookie. Slim, we're not looking for a rookie. Oh, you gotta go up for the link, Stacy. I'm sorry. Um, I don't have. Well, do I have the link? Wait a minute. Let me see if I can put the link in the
I
chat.
don't
I
know.
think I might have.
I don't know if Miles Turner will be interested in going to a team like the Hornets. You know, something like that. That would have been nice. But sorry, yeah, Queens with the Pels, not Memphis. Yeah, yeah. But you know what I meant. For the most part, he was definitely down south. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, Collin would have been the better choice. I think. Definitely Clarkson would have been better to pair him up with Lamelo, in my humble opinion. But
But
I do
the
think the
clock's
Cavs got.
available
I,
though, please.
but I do think the Cavs got super better though, bro. I feel like the Cavs is they just went from a 64 team win to like maybe a 67 team win.
But Belize is Colin is Jordan, is he available?
Well, I mean he's on Utah, and I feel like what they gonna do with him over there anyway? They got to get rid of him. He wasting
The
all his
link is
good
in the
years on
chat,
that
fellas.
team.
The link is in the chat.
He wasting all his good years on that team.
Yeah, I don't know if he's available though.
I mean, what they doing with him though? Are they gonna keep him? They're gonna build with him? They're gonna do something with him? Like I don't think.
I don't know what they're gonna do with Jordan Clarkson. I really don't. I think that he's satisfied where he's at. He's still on the West Coast. You know, he's at 700 miles from LA.
Hey,
Stacy,
how you doing, bro?
Stacy, I know you got a lot to talk about. Charlotte Hornets got a ton of money. They so below the apron. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. What's going on with the Charlotte Hornets with this move?
First of all, can y'all hear me well? Can y'all hear me well? Are y'all able to hear
Yeah,
me?
you sound splendid. You sound splendid to me. But
Okay,
I'm quite sure Belize can hear you too.
Yeah, okay, you good.
that's can you hear me good? Okay, all right. So I wasn't going to check in today because first of all, I'm getting over the flu, and second is I live by trees, and whenever it rains, it just calling in doesn't work out well. Okay, so when Flight first dropped this earlier, I was on. I mean, basically, I was in the chat and everything. And I'm like, Collin Sexton fits so good. I love the trade, first of all. So now I gotta give Jeff Peterson his flowers. Y'all know from the beginning of the year, I've been saying we need to go after Zion, we need to go after Lonzo and all that. Well, we already know Lonzo went to the Cavs and all that, but Zion still at the Pelicans and look like they're gonna try to work it out with him. We do have the cap space to pick up a Zion or Giannis or Jalen Brown. And this is why it's so serious. I wanted it done during the draft. Y'all remember me saying that? I wanted it done during the draft. But now I see what Jeff Peterson's doing. I promise you it's a good thing. All those shooters they got, people that can actually make shots, that's what they took care of during the draft. They also got hard working players. The center, four-time Big East Player of the Year. I used to watch him at Creighton. I watch every possible game I possibly can watch because I do sports betting. So I see all these guys that came in. But let's talk about what happened today. Them getting Collin Sexton. Collin Sexton is a bucket. Y'all see that he averages 18 points a game on 40% shooting, 48% shooting. That's good for a guard. He also makes 85% free throws. The best thing about Collin Sexton is he's good in transition. He gonna run that floor. I used to watch him when he played for Pebblebrook and also when he went to Alabama.
I'm from Cobb County, Georgia, so I see all these players. In fact, him and Jalen Brown had a really good game. Jalen went to my old alma mater, Wheeler High School. Collin went to Pebblebrook. They crosstown rivals. Collin dropped 48 on them. Okay. Collin
Can
is
I
a
ask a
really good.
question though, real quick?
That's great. That's great.
I want to ask a question. Like, so do you think by any means? I mean, there's no reports or anything like that, but just hearing you talk about Sexton in this point, I want to ask, do you think that maybe the Hornets went after Lonzo Ball and couldn't get Lonzo Ball and decided to just go with Sexton as a
I,
second option?
I do. I do. But at the same time, Collin
Oh,
don't miss the
yeah,
game.
because because what you were saying, it does make sense that they would have went after somebody like Lonzo and couldn't get him, and then said, all
Yeah,
right, this is the second best option. Because by
what,
that theory, this does make a lot of sense.
what one of the biggest issues we had last year was a backup point guard. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Remember how many
That's
we tried out? Remember we was taking down two-way players and put them in backup point guard and seeing what they could do because
mhm.
Boston was so sorry. Boston didn't care last year. He got his money. He didn't care. He was not. He wasn't trying to play the NBA game. He was trying to play the international game. That's why we about to go ahead and not pick up that club. We're not gonna pick up that option. He's gonna let him walk. He can go overseas, and he's gonna be able to be the best player overseas. He will be great in their systems overseas or whatever. But he don't fit us. But so we always needed that backup point guard for one. Collin's gonna do that. And then we missed Trey all last year. Trey played 13 games, 13 games last year. Trey, him and Collin can play together. They can play on that second team together. They can do that. Like they fit. If they don't get in each other's way, they are very compatible. That's explosiveness off the second team. And then Collin only making 18 million a year on an expiring contract with Trey about to get his RFA extension, which is not going to be more than $8 million. Trey's not going to get more than $7 to $8 million. He's not, but he's going to be a Hornet. So don't worry when people thinking that we're going to let Trey go. They talked about how they're already conversations of keeping Trey. Watch the post draft presser, and that's the first thing Jeff Peterson said was, "We're keeping Trey. We're in contract negotiations with him now." So it doesn't even hurt the cap to keep Trey either. So this is the thing. So where the issue comes down is with all that spacing, and when we were at last year, we could not score on drives, we could not score in transition. As I even look at it right now, I'm looking at NBA.com. You can go to NBA.com stats, and you want to go into advanced stats, and you go to players and tracking. And when you go from tracking, go to drive. And I put in all the forwards, and who are the best forwards on drive. Minimum 10 drives a game. Miles Bridges is the worst. He drives 6.7 times a game. He only has 7 attempts a game, and he shoots at 45% on the drive. Everybody else, this is conversation. Giannis, Kevin Durant, Luka, Jalen Brown, LeBron. We already know this stuff. Zion drives 18 times a game, and he shoots 50% from the field, and he goes to the free throw line more than anybody. Look at the setup. How this remember how Charles Lee ran our offense, that 5-3 motion or 5-4 motion. It would be called a 4-3 motion by Boston. They run the 4-3 motion, but the Hornets run a 5-3 motion. The 5 being the center at the top of the arc. We didn't have anybody who could stand there and be the quarterback, the center or whatever, that could really play. Grant played it good, but Mark couldn't play it. Nick Richards couldn't play it. Nurk wasn't hitting his shots when he got it. It would be good for T-John to do it, but he don't hit his shots either. He's 19 years old. He's going to have these 19-year-old problems. Also, it'll be good for Moose to do it, but Moose ain't going to shoot. Moose is just going to drive and rebound. He'll be great if we taught him how to drive and rebound. But with all this space they have, I promise you, if Jalen come available, we should go after him. If Zion comes available, we should go after him. We should be conversating with Giannis. Giannis should be thinking about coming to Charlotte because it extend his career. He has the shooters around him. He'll have Lamelo who will get him the ball. And let's say if he was on the top of that key and being the playmaker, he's that. Giannis is actually the best playmaker out of all the guys. He can pass better than everybody. He's not going to hit free throws, but he can get down there and get to the cup. And he'll have a lot of spacing that he don't have in the book. Pablo Banchero, we're not going to get him because he's in Milwaukee. I mean, he's in Orlando. They about to get him big money. He about to make a lot of money this year. Julius Randle, we don't want him. But I'm just saying, just thinking about all this situation, the only thing that's missing is a forward that can drive, and that's where the Hornets need to go to complete this amazing offseason. The Hornets are doing really good right now. They're doing really good. You there?
Yeah, I'm here,
You
Stacey.
guys, yeah. So you guys go ahead and take the floor after that. That's all I got to say. Like,
no, hold on, no, Stacey, don't you run, Stacey,
okay, what's
because
up, bro?
the stream been wanting to hear from you with the Charlotte Hornet thing, because you break down the numbers and you got other teams' numbers, and you're very informative. You know what I mean? You one of the best at that. The only person I know is just as good as you is DJ Gemini. He hasn't been around because his mom is not feeling well, so he have to take care of his mom. So you are number one guy when it comes to that. Now, Stacey, Julius Randle is locked up. He doesn't sign an extension. So
yeah, I don't want him anyway.
But what about Mitchell Robinson?
Mitchell Robinson, what that?
Randle going to the Lakers.
Randle is?
Julius Randle's going to the Lakers.
Oh, that's a good trade for him. What did the Timberwolves get? What did the Timberwolves get out of that?
Now I just see him signing over there with the Lakers. I could see him throwing the
No,
bag
he
at
didn't
him.
sign with the Lakers. No, he back in Minnesota.
Yeah, he has a player option. He has a lot of money, dog. He's not about to give up that money to go
You
to the
don't think
Lakers.
he's gonna test the free market?
No, he was
Hell
the
no.
Minnesota Timberwolves. He signed his
He got so
extension.
much. Yeah, he got so much money, bro. He had a player option, so he's not gonna leave that money. For him to go to the Lakers, he had to drop all that money.
The Knicks gave him that good contract before he left. They wasn't gonna
The
make
Lakers are still looking. The Lakers are still looking.
Yeah, so like let's say Mitchell Robinson as a center for that would be cool, but you know what I'm saying, that what we have to trade for him, and at the same time he don't shoot threes. We know what Mitchell Robinson gives you though. He gonna protect that paint. The best for us to get a center, Miles Turner is there, and we can pay for Miles Turner, and he can shoot though. But Miles ain't gonna drive. He's gonna just stand there and shoot. He's not gonna do that. He protect the rim on defense though. I ain't gonna lie to you. The Pacers really had a
I could
bad.
see Miles Turner leaving just because they every year he goes through the same thing. Like, oh, they're gonna trade him. So I could see him probably leaving, going somewhere where he appreciate it.
Well, they kind of gave him an award this year for the fact that he's been there for 10 years. Longest Pacer. He missed the playoffs so many times that the Pacers really turned it on this year. They really turned on the year before last. They made the playoffs the year before last, and they made it this year too. So that's the thing with that, like and they made the finals this year. So he in a situation where they can go over the cap. They pay him, the stand for him, but it's up to him, man. When you get that close to the championship, you don't want to really leave your team, bro. Hey, I don't see them leaving it. I don't see them leaving it. That's so close.
Nas
we
Reed signed the extension, so I know he ain't going nowhere. It's gonna be
Yeah.
tough to
So
get a big right now.
What about Holmes?
I would love
Rashad Holmes,
Listen to this.
or Time Lord. You think Time Lord still got something left in him? Robert Griffin. Robert Third.
I think the Clippers gonna go after Capella though. I mean the Lakers. The Lakers gonna have to go Capella.
What? Why come they can't get Onyeke? I mean, that would be a dream pickup if they can get Okue Onyeke from Atlanta.
I like Onyeka, but Onyeka kind of like Miles Turner. He's not going to drive either, but he will shoot. And he does protect the rim. He kind of saying what thing is Miles Turner. But Hawks ain't gonna just really just let him go like that because you gotta
What's up with
understand
the
something.
Knicks and they coaching? Who gonna coach the
Oh, hear
Knicks?
me out. Oh, hear me out, y'all. Hear me out. Let's stay on the same subject for a second. Let him. So you gotta think about these moves. Who's trading to the Hornets in the same division? Why would the Orlando give up like Wendell Carter? Why would Miami give up Bam Adebayo? Why would the Hawks give up, Aneka to come to Charlotte? They're in the same division, so we can just cancel out the division guys already. A lot of teams ain't doing that. You know what I mean? So let's just stay on the same page of the guys that really do fit us. Jaron Jackson's not gonna go nowhere. He's one of the best players on the drive and can shoot. He's a really good player. He's not gonna go nowhere though. But when we talk about Jaylen Brown being and a free agent, not a free agent, but basically Jaylen Brown being on the trade block, we're talking about Giannis being on the trade block. We're talking about Zion. You know, Joe Dumars is getting his trial run with Zion, so we might be getting him at All Star break. But that's if Joe Dumars don't give up on him.
So I
And
got a
then you got
question for you, Stacy. Shout out to you, Stacy. I appreciate you, Stacy. Shout out to the Fresh Prince. So what the hell do you want them to do in free agency?
I want them to just keep on going after rim running. You
Okay.
keep on what they doing. I'm more impressed by what they doing because I had a simplified version of it when I was talking all year. What they doing is even better than what I was thinking. They getting the shooters around them and they getting hard workers around them. The one thing they got left now is to get a rim runner, somebody who can create gravity to give space to all these shooters. Miles is not the guy because as I'm looking at this list right now, he's at the bottom of the list of anybody who can drive well and also score. And we all see that in the game. We see that Miles ain't really trying to go down there like that, like he can with his great ability to do it. But he's not trying to get run on a fast break. He's trying to shoot a three. You know what I'm saying? He ain't really trying like hard like that.
Yeah.
But these elite guys, Giannis, the Jaylen Browns, and the Jaren Jacksons, and Zion, and Paulo, Bencaro, that's what the conversation we need to have. And the reason why you don't go to Rashad Holmes is because we got Diabate better than Rashad Holmes right now, and younger, and cheaper. You know what I'm saying?
I want to get your thoughts, and I don't know if I heard it. How do you feel about Collin Sexton coming to Charlotte?
Man, man, it's a
Is he
steal, bro. He's a steal, bro. It's
that's
crazy
for
they
nothing?
gave him up.
For nothing.
It's it's crazy that they gave him up, bro. It don't make any sense. First of all, he on a expiring contract, only making $18 million. That's cool. He was making less than what Nurkic was making. The next thing is he gets to the cup at a high rate for a point guard. He gets to the cup and he can shoot. The man shot 40% for three last year, and we can see it when we watch the tape. When you sit there looking at it, Jazz got a highlight film of him from last year, and they show that he actually had his best year with them last year. The last 2 years, he actually hooped for the Jazz the last 2 years. Played 63 games last year, this past season, and then 74 games the year before that. He's good in transition. He a pit bull on defense. He everything that what they trying to build at the Hornets.
So far, y'all making me a believer with this
Sure.
pickup. I'm not gonna lie.
Shout out to the Fresh Prince. What, Sexton?
Yeah, I believe they're making me a believer on it. But
What you
like I
got?
was saying, they always said that Lamelo needed help on the point guard. I believe he needs a shooting guard. I do believe though, that they probably tried to get Lonzo and couldn't, and I believe this was the second best option for that type of style that they're trying to do on that team. I still stand on Jordan Clarkson will probably been the better, but he probably is not available. So this is solid. This is solid.
But
It's interesting to see.
Prince, Jordan Clarkson 32 years old, bro. Collin
Huh?
only 26. Jordan Clarkson is 32 years old. Collin only 26.
Fair, but for me, it's like it's again, it's like what they're getting. So that's why I said like with Clarkson, I know what I'm getting with a veteran, with the scoring, with the details, and I believe he could help Lamelo with scoring. But
I put it like
Claxton,
I,
Sexton, I'm sorry, I keep calling him Claxton. Sexton, I do believe that he could come in and it could work. It could work, but it also could fail between both of them. Between both of them, like trying to get greedy for the ball, trying to take who ball is it type, like who turn is it type thing, like all of
but
those
they
little
ain't gonna
stuff.
play
Like
together. They can play together, but Collin is coming in to be his backup. Collin has been a six man for a long time. Same thing with Clarkson though. Clarkson was a six man too,
yeah,
but
but
Collin's been
Clarkson's a like he's a Clarkson to me is a solidified six man. Sexton, I don't think he wants to be a six man. I think he wants to prove his role to get back that starting role,
how you know
and that's
how
kind
you
of
know
what
that
I was getting at.
how you know that though.
No, I don't.
How you,
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said I don't. I don't.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It could be. It could be.
Collin
It
been
could
a
work. Cannot work.
Collin been a six man ever since he was at the Cavs when he was a rookie. Like that's what he do. That's what he's a Lou Williams. He's a Lou Williams.
I will
He
hope
come
so.
from that.
That's what I'm saying. If we're getting
He
that
come from
type of
that.
energy, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah. So like basically they
I don't
good,
need. I
bro.
don't need a guard trying to
They
come in
good.
trying to say like, oh, I'm trying to take over the team. I'm trying to be the. I don't need none of
Nobody said
that.
that.
No, I know. I
I'm
know
not.
we didn't. I know we didn't. I'm just stating it out.
I'm not
Like
trying to do it all, but you know what I'm saying? Don't you kind of don't you never want to jump the gun and like and think of what we all know, the world know this is LaMelo's team. Leave LaMelo alone. You know what I'm saying? It's his team. Why would it be anybody else's team? The best thing for LaMelo too is because there's 2 6'5" guards, 2 6'6" guards that actually played in NBA Finals. Not of them SBA or Halliburton. I love both of them. None of them are better than LaMelo. Not of them. I watch basketball to the T.
that's what I be
None of
saying.
them are better than LaMelo. This is his team. The pressure now is on Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller to become elite. We know Miles is not going to do that. Miles is going to be cool. He's going to be averaged out. People are already talking like Miles ain't a part of the big three or whatever. And it's justified, even though he was the best player on the team last year because everybody was hurt. But we know he ain't going to step up like that. It's up to Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges to be the catalyst. It'll be on them if the Charlotte Hornets don't win games. If Charlotte Hornets don't win 40 games this year, I guarantee you're gonna blame it on Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges or Charles Lee. It won't be LaMelo's fault. It won't be guards. It won't be an issue with guards because I like all of them. I like Khan. If you want to put Kogi as a guard, I like him. I like all of them. Trey Mann, even Simpson. I like all of them. That's a good guard core right there. That the Hornets have. The problem is who's going to run to that rim, who's going to be down there getting it. Because that's what we struggled at last year. Couldn't hit free throws. Couldn't score up under the goal. Couldn't run in transition. And what's the point of you playing a game with LaMelo Ball if you can't run? We've
That's
been
a
seeing it
fact.
since that boy was
I
in
would
high
I
school.
would say, I would say though Zion going to the Hornets would be a perfect match though.
Man, man, that would be perfect. Um, Getting Giannis in his last years was good. Jalen
Nah,
Brown would be
I wouldn't want a Giannis. I wouldn't want a Giannis. If you get a Giannis, if
what?
you get a Gian, I mean, let me bring it back. Let me bring it back. Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. I
We
would,
got.
to be honest with you, I would have rather LaMelo in Milwaukee than Giannis in Charlotte.
We don't have to give up that to get Giannis.
Well,
We don't have to.
that's what I'm saying though.
We
I would
don't have to
rather
give.
be the other way.
We don't not to get Giannis. We do not have to give up. We'll have to give up Miles, but we don't have. We have so many. We got 9 first round draft picks, bro. 9 first round draft picks.
I don't think the
We got.
Bucks care about none of that.
Yeah, they're gonna have to because they getting old and they falling apart. They're gonna have to. We beat them. The Hornets beat
No,
them
no, no.
last year.
Hell yeah. We cook them every time.
Yeah, so
Every
they
time.
getting old and they falling apart. Their money is all also skyrocketing. Everybody getting paid on their team. championship winners getting paid. Brooks Lopez is about to retire. He didn't retire, so he's going to be on the team again. Think about that. You know what I'm saying? So they got to build. They got to rebuild this whole thing. They're not a major market team. They're not the Lakers.
Oh, you wait on me?
Yeah, bro. So I mean, Giannis is the MVP, bro. Come on now. He was like the best player last year too. His team just didn't win games. Yeah, that's true, bro. That's
No, good,
that that's
good point. Good point there, man. I just want Charlotte to get to the play-in. Hopefully, this move brings them closer. Only time will tell. You know.
yeah. We got to let go of Miles too, bro. We gotta go ahead and upgrade for Miles. I'm sitting here looking at a list right now of all the best forward players that got to the paint off the dribble. He is the last. He's in last place, bro. He's at last place. He's not cutting it. Because we see it too. He's not trying to get down there. He's not trying to give us what his ability says give. He's trying to become a 3-point shooter and stuff like that and all that. He's trying to play like more like Tatum than he should be playing like Jaylen Brown. You feel me?
Yeah.
And Zion would be perfect. Giannis would be perfect. Jaylen Brown would be perfect. We can even take in Jimmy Butler too, but nobody want to put that on our team. The way he is off the court and everything. So yeah, bro, it's time to make that move, dog. It just make me even want to make that move even more now. Go ahead, Flight. It's your show.
Nah, nah, you good. I mean, you was cooking. I mean, there's a lot of good points. That was made. I mean, Collin Sexton, I like him. Earlier I said that this is gonna pay dividends. I think you got the young bull. I always liked Collin Sexton, even going back to, I thought that the New York Knicks could have got him, but Cleveland picked him, picked before, and then we ended up with Kevin Knox. So I could never forget Collin Sexton. Coming out of Alabama. He was coached by Avery Johnson. Anybody know about Avery Johnson? He took the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals. It
Speaking of
is what it
Alabama,
is.
he's the
Yes.
reason why Alabama's good now.
Who-
Alabama was not a
Alabama
basketball school.
basketball. Yeah, no, that's what they about football. I remember he went to Alabama.
He was the fourth ranked best player in the nation when he came out. Was somewhere in the top 10. He was in the top 10 that year. And for him to go to Alabama where everybody was shocked, like what did Avery do to get him? You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they paid him whatever. But long story short, when he went to Alabama. He's the reason why Alabama's consistently good now. Alabama was never like this playing basketball. That's my team. That's my team. I'm from Alabama originally. Before I moved to Cobb County growing up. Long story short. Yeah. He's a pit bull. He's a dog. He dropped 48 on my team with Jalen as the best player in the country. Jalen Brown being the best player in the country. All of us come from that same area, bro. Cobb County, like Ace Bailey, Isaiah Collier, all of them. They come from Cobb. Kogi.
Yeah, I'm about to go out there and shoot a video in front of McKeitry. That's the high
Oh,
school.
Double Keaton.
Yeah,
McKeithen.
that's the high school that Ace Bailey went to. That I work like 5 minutes away from there. I'm about to go pull up there.
It look like a
And
college zone.
yeah, these high schools in Atlanta is nothing to fuck around with. I mean, it's nothing like New York. It's shit like a college, like you said. Just the
Look
way
like
they
a college.
do, the way they run things. They didn't have it like this.
Yeah, bro. It's no joke, bro. Like they getting up there with North Carolina. Atlanta is getting up there with North
These
Carolina.
coaches getting paid too.
Yeah, we got $1 million coaches, $1 million college coaches. I mean, $1 million high school basketball coaches right now, and Georgia. Real talk. But yeah, go ahead, bro. I love the pick, man. I'm shocked. I did not see it coming. I did not see it coming, and that blew me off. Like honestly, they blow me away with the move they're making. The Pelicans not even doing bad this year in the offseason. I'm so impressed with Joe Dumars. Like David Griffin left a mess, and Joe Dumars is fixing the mess over and over and over. So I doubt they give up Zion over the summer. They might give up. Yeah, I don't see them giving up nobody right now. They got a really good team. They shouldn't be as bad as they are last year unless they got to fire Willie Green. But the Hornets, hey, give Jeff Peterson his prop. You said something earlier, like when you said that that Jeff Peterson doing his job, and now it's time for Charles Lee to do his. And you're right. They don't make the play in, they got five. Real talk, the pressure's on. That's a good team. The Hornets are a good team. Look, you look at the roster. There's other teams that can't really hang with that. Not even in the division. There's teams that can't hang with that. The Heat not as deep as Charlotte is right now. But they gonna win. Because they the Heat. They got Eric Spoelstra. They got a culture down there. You know what I'm saying? So the pressure on this man to win now. No excuses. They gotta win summer league. They gotta win summer league at this point. You take 4 good per draft picks like that, and you got T. John and Simpson, and then the Greenwood Swarm is good, bro. You gotta win summer league or be in the final. I'm just being real, and you know I like Charles Lee. I'm being dead real with him. You got it, bro.
No, good points, man. You're making some hella good points, man. Like I said, Charles Lee, the pressure's on, especially when you got all of these good coaches that's out there. They just can't get off to a bad start. You know, that's all I could tell you. If they get off to a bad start, that'll really suck.
Hey, man, honestly, I don't know. In their thought process needs to be, let's get Lamelo to an All-Star game. Let's get Melo into MVP conversation.
Right.
Because at this age, I don't think Anthony Edwards even better than him. But Anthony Edwards producing. You think about those players that are at the age of 24 and under at guard. All of them got better chances, and they also producing. He's the only one that has it yet, and he's better than all of them. He's better than all of them. It's his time, dog. They got to get this done. You got Brandon Miller, bro. Brandon got to show up this year. And it wasn't like he played bad last year. He had games where he went cold and stuff like that. We're going to get that out of him. But he got injured. You know, Brandon had a game winner, a hard hustling game winner for us to beat. I think it was beat the Pistons. We can't take that away from him. Then his injury, that pushed us back. But it gave everybody else more time to get on the court before we can trade him. Josh Green got to go. He got to go. Never on my team can he play. Maybe he'll back up, and maybe he need to be out west somewhere close to Australia or whatever. He got to go. He don't fit what we got going on. And it's time. Everybody got to
think Trey Mann is gone?
Huh?
Trey Mann is gone, in your opinion?
I'm about to show you. I'm about to explain what's about to happen with Trey Mann. Trey Mann is a restricted free agent. So he can't determine how much he can make. He can't determine it. It's a fixed contract. What he can do is you give him the money and he can go and have conversations with other teams. And if he had that conversation with other teams and they pay him more than what we pay him, we can match it. If we don't match it, we don't want him. But no, I don't think he's gone. They love him too much. It's something Jeff Peterson has said during the draft presser. At the end of the draft the other day, I watched it. And it made me think about Dex because Dex was talking about how Charlotte won't white players and stuff like that. And I argued with Dex about this earlier this year, but he was right. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at how the whole draft person was set up. Yeah, they kind of do want that Duke feel, North Carolina feel, and all that stuff. They want those guys and everything. But long story short, Jeff Peterson said that their number one priority right now is to get Trey Mann signed up. He can't leave. You know what I'm saying? Let's say we throw a $7 million contract at him, and then he goes and get 9 or 10 from somebody else. That won't hurt our pocket. We can get him that 9 to 10 because Charlotte has so much cap space. We actually just got $1 million more today by trading away Nurk. Collin Sexton makes $1 million less than Nurk and does more and younger. Hey, at every point this whole year, This whole offseason, Charlotte has won on every single issue. They even got another second round draft pick. They got a first. They got a first for two firsts for Mark Williams. At every single point, Jeff Peterson's fleecing people. Bruh, hats off, bro. Real talk. Hats off. The man acting like Ozzie Newsome. He acting like the Ravens, Eric DeCosta and everything. That's how he acting. But yeah, no, Trey Man ain't going nowhere, bro. Him and Collin gonna be on that second team. They're gonna be able to play well together. We already know Trey's a 2. He's not a 1. They're gonna be able to play well together. I see it, bro. They can hit on offense. They can hit you from every angle, penetrating from every angle. Both of them can shoot too. Just that second team should be scoring more than a lot of other second teams in the NBA this year. You there, Flight? To answer your question?
Yeah, good point.
Any other questions you got?
No, that was one of the main questions. I mean, but are they going to the plan or what? Are we gonna be back around in the draft again?
Man, listen, if we do fall back in the draft, Noah Williamson from Alabama, from Bucknell, Alabama, he went to Bucknell last year. He'll be at Alabama this year. He's a center. That's the person we need to be keying on if we do fall back into the lottery this year. But, and which we've marked like we can, because we got 2 first rounders next year. We got 2 first rounders in 23. Even if we make the playoffs, we still can be in that conversation. Mind you, a play-in team can be the first pick of the draft because Dallas Mavericks was the play-in team. They had the first pick of the draft. The lottery can shape like that. So then still make the play-in. That's the goal. Make the play-in. But I would say what would take us over the top is getting one of those guys I mentioned. That is so important to get them a Giannis, Jaylen Brown, somebody like that. We need something like that. And if anybody emerges like that's going to be in that list, Nas Reed, he's already staying at the Timberwolves. He's emerging to be an elite guy like that in that range at the 4 position. We do need to be having conversations trying to get somebody who's going to emerge to be that. I don't know who it is, but I personally see Denny Avdia. But we're not going to get Denny because Portland's going to keep him. He actually played really good last year, and then he just got traded from the Wizards. Good thing we don't have to deal with that no more. Franz Wagner, I don't want him. But he's a guy that's in that conversation too, but I don't want him. He can stay in Orlando. He's soft. He go down there, he's trying to get fouled like Lucas. Franz is trying to play like Lucas, so I wouldn't want him. And Lucas not going nowhere either. So the thing is to get one of those elite guys like that. Don't want RJ Barrett. Jalen Williams from OKC, he's not going nowhere. We need to upgrade for Miles Bridges, and everybody see it. I'm pretty sure everybody in the chat knows that we need to upgrade for Miles Bridges. Some people just don't like him for what he had going off the field. Off the court. I don't care nothing about that. That man changed his whole life. He's doing way better right now. I'm not carrying that on nobody. They don't do it to the white players. They really don't. Or the white coaches that beat on their wives or anything else that's going on. They don't do that. Just let that whole thing off court stuff with Miles Bridges go. But I would say, as far as for play, I don't want him to be no 3. I don't want him to be Brandon Miller. I don't want him to be Jason Tatum. I don't want him to do that. I want him to use his athletic ability to get to the cup, to be in that conversation with the Zions and the Giannis's and all that. We all know Miles Bridges got all that. We know he do. He just don't bring it like that. He was kind of messing up the system. He was the best player on our team last year because of the injury, but he was kind of messing up the system. There was games where he just wanted to shoot 3 and everything. I don't even know anybody in the world that's saying, go get Miles Bridges. Nobody from any other team or any other thought process fan base that say, let's get Miles Bridges. You honestly have to break it down to them how good Miles Bridges plays. even for Hornets fan, a support base. You got to tell them like Miles Bridges like actually played good last year, but you can't. You know what I'm saying? He really don't scare nobody. It's time to upgrade from him. Make the move. He's cheap. He don't cost much. He can be a part of any package to get any other superstar. We don't have that. As far as the player, we have to put a package together to get him. And eventually, he's gonna be in the way of T. John. We need somebody who's gonna be teaching T. John. He don't teach T. John nothing. Giannis will show T. John how to play. Zion will show him, hey, getting to the rim the best thing in the world. Zion gets to the rim 18 times a game. There's people that don't even touch the ball 18 times a game. Zion gets there 18 times a game and shoots 50%. I watch the Pelicans. I know he's a problem. His gravity is crazy. He breaks basketball. He really do. You put him in the middle of the court, nobody can mess with Zion. Don't try to put him in an angle. He's not Allen Iverson. He's not going to come from an angle. He needs to come from the middle, downhill, like a power back, running up the A gap. And that's how you fix that. Paolo Beccaro can do all of it. But he's not going to go nowhere. He's not coming to us. He's in Orlando. We need to be making those conversations, bro, before we get one of those big guys. That you still here? Because we talked about this all year. Anyway, why you still here? What's up, Chad? See your question. I'm about to get to you, Chad. I want to hear all y'all questions. Oh, Jay Jones, I love Charles Lee. Nobody ever heard me hate on Charles Lee. Me and Flight kind of disagree about Charles Lee. I see basketball. That's good. I love Charles Lee, bro. That's not a person. I'm not one of those guys that dislike Charles Lee. I really like Charles Lee. Um, even though he's different from me, like you know what I'm saying. Charles Lee sound like he come from the good side of town, and I'm from the hood, so it's a whole different person. Like, but I wouldn't be able to sit down with those millionaires and stuff like that. They ain't gonna accept me the way they'll accept Charles. Um, Back in the day when I was in high school, my senior year of high school, Charles Lee was taking Bucknell to a mid major. He really put mid majors on. Like mid majors wasn't getting no love like that. Charles Lee took a mid major and just took out everybody in the. He was doing it for years too. It wasn't just 1 year. Go look it up. '05 Bucknell and what he did in the March Madness. That was Charles Lee on that Bucknell team, and he was hooping for a long time on like in the independent courts and stuff like that, making $1 million games and stuff like that. He was doing that, and he was also assistant coach at the same time doing it. You can find that stuff on YouTube, bro. The East is wide open. It sure is, bro. The best team in the East just got their best player hurt. Think about that. The best team in the East just got their best player hurt. He's going to be out for the season. Another team will probably really is the best team on paper. Their best player just got hurt. Jason Tatum just tore his Achilles. The Knicks just lost their head coach. Come on now. Come on. Like, it's wide open. It's wide open. Giannis don't want to be in Milwaukee no more. A 704 Vamp like Sexton is better than Edge Cone. Bro, for every single person that said they wanted Collin Sexton, they wanted Edge Cone during the draft, you just got the better, more veteran version of him. I agree with you. Sexton is the better version of what X-Cone wasn't gonna bring what Sexton brought to is bringing to us. First of all, the shooting. He's a way better shooter. Way better shooter. Way better shooter, bro. Like, we're not having no issues with him. We're not going to have issues. The man shoots 85% from free throws. He shoots 40% from threes. That's huge for a guard. He shoots 48% from all field goals. That's huge for a guard. He scores 3 transition buckets a game. He's one of the best guards on the drive. He really slept on being in Utah. Then I've seen, I'm 38 years old now. I have seen players like this that never get the love, and a lot of people in the world don't understand. Like, they never get to see how good they are. No. Okay, First Prince. You say Hornets got rid of. I saw some like. Okay, that's not true. Who's this Pels fan? I'm actually a Pels fan supporter too, bro. But thank God that they turned that around, because that was really bad. Last year was awful.
Good point there, man. There's a lot happening. I appreciate you, Stacy, man. We had a lot going on. Yo, listen, man. We're gonna pull it back up later. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. If you're new, hit the like button, and most definitely hit the subscribe button. We have breaking news in the NBA. Collin Sexton traded to the Charlotte Hornets, teaming up with Lamelo Ball, NB1, the one of one. You already know what it is. Salute to all y'all that's in the chat, everybody that graced the panel tonight. It's Flight Sports TV. Peace and love.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.